everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Spinner Rack. I'm your host, Chris, and we have lots of comic book news. We have lots of comic books to review. It's going to be a pretty fun one. And if you're wondering why I'm so peppy, it's because I'm having some lovely caffeine.
コーヒーを飲みましょう。コーヒーを飲みましょう。そのコーヒーはとても甘いです。すごいですね。
All right, I don't know what I'm doing there. I just slipped into some sort of magical girl character. My apologies. I'll say some quick hellos to folks that are already in the chat. I appreciate you being here. I promise to do my best tonight. We are going to have a fun time talking comic books. I really can't think of anything that I need to do in terms of business aside from getting the show going. So let's start with some comic book news of the week.
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Put an ad on the front page. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Hi guys, this is April O'Neil from Channel 6 News, and I am here in beautiful New York City.
Yeah, a few things happened this week. So you see that I created an absolutely flawless little graphic there. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about tonight. But it isn't all sad news. It isn't all sad. Some of it's happy, and some of it's just like stuff that'll make you go, Have you ever come across things that make you go, I'm just going to try to turn the entire show into 90s references that not everybody will get. All right, let's see. To start out with, let's talk about DC's announced more compact comics for 2026. No surprise there. They're selling really well. So that we already knew that we were getting 3 new compact comics. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, and Batman White Knight. They announced a bunch more. Hey, it's my sister, Lovely. And his super chat. Hello, I must have been good. Absolute Batman was all like, that's all. Anyway, 2 ice cold, sugar-free Mountain Dew Baja Blasts. This super chat is Baja Blast colored. Appreciate it, Steve. Thanks for the support. So what are we getting? Just real quick. We're going to get Nightwing from Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. That's March. The Flash Rebirth. Not as excited about that one, but it is pretty big comic. It's probably going to sell really well. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I took something for granted here. What are compact comics? That's the brand that DC has for they're releasing trade paperbacks, like up to 12 issues at a time, manga sized. I don't have a compact comic with me right now, I guess. Maybe I should have one for future news bits. But so like the smaller size, basically 7 by 11 or thereabouts, $10. Really good value. And I think the value is what's really doing it for folks. We've got Dark Knight Returns. I was surprised. I look back. Nope, that wasn't one of the first ones that they did. They had Watchmen, but they didn't have Dark Knight Returns. Feels like a no-brainer, of course. Then again, maybe it's because that one's a little smaller. That's only technically 4 big issues as compared to like 12 issues. So I think that they're trying to give a good value most of the time. There might be some supplemental or back matter material to help make this one a little thicker. I don't know. We've got Green Arrow Year 1, Andy Diggle and Jock. Never read that one, but always heard good things about it. I loved this book, Gotham Central. It just does something along the lines of a book like Criminal, a crime comic. It just happens to be set in Gotham City. So occasionally you have a super villain come through, but it's always through the point of view of the police that are solving it, not Batman. It's really, really cool. Superman Red Sun, kind of a classic Elseworlds book. Great art by Dave Johnson. Great art. Batman Under the Red Hood. Haven't read that one, but love Doug Mahnke. I should do an episode about Doug Mahnke. I really like his work. Batgirl of Burnside. Yep, that got a lot of acclaim when it came out. And Injustice, Gods Among Us, which means Tom Taylor, boom, boom, has 2 books here, Nightwing and Injustice. Compact comics continue to sell really well for comic book stores specifically. I think they're doing well in bookstores like, Borders, not Borders, that doesn't exist anymore, old man. Barnes & Noble. And, but it does really well in comic book stores. I looked on Comic Book Hub, which it doesn't get the sales data from every comic book store. It does it from a sampling of comic shops across the country. But that does show out of the top 20 books from last month, 5 of them, I'm talking graphic novels, not floppies, for 5 of the best graphic novels were all compact comics. So yeah, DC is definitely highly motivated to keep making these. There's somebody saying my LCS says they sell like crazy. Why wouldn't they? $10 for like, big thick comics. It's nice. It's a good value. I have the Tiny Watchmen volume. Yep. I think that the artwork still reproduces just fine at that size. Probably couldn't go much smaller, but it's all legible. It looks good. Yeah, it's like the show Homicide. Oh, what a great show that was. If you haven't watched it, Homicide, Life on the Streets. If you like The Wire, same guy created the show Homicide, Life on the Streets, set in Baltimore. Really, really good. They're selling to everybody. Anyway, I'll keep going, though. There's plenty of news. Look at this mysterious thing that was posted. Let's see. So Jock posted a video to Twitter, and it hints at something related to Batman the Killing Joke. I'll just hit play here. This is his video. Wait, did I actually hit play? Yeah, there. Okay. So look at this. There it is. Jock, Batman the Killing Joke. Cover. That's it. So it's on a Bristol board, like it's official, it's the DC art board. You will note, if you're curious, it's got the DC Vertigo branding. So commenters that I saw were all talking about how they think that this is like a remake. And maybe it is a remake of the famous Alan Moore, Brian Bolland comic. Great comic, by the way. I'm just saying, I'm putting out my 2 cents. It seems to me like it's entirely possible that it's nothing more than a new cover for a reprinted edition. But I don't know. There's no official news. That's all there is. It's just Jock posted that little video to get people talking, I think. But I really don't know what it could mean. And it would be a little weird, I will admit, if it's just a reprint, for Jock to do the cover when Brian Bolland is still actively working on, covers and stuff. He's done stuff for DC. But Jock has a great design sensibility. So I don't know. I feel like that could still be the most likely thing. We'll see. Yeah, the only reason I can think of is to remake it is to somehow modernize it and put it in their active continuity, but that doesn't seem like enough of a reason. Like it isn't dated at all. If they do reprint it, it's like some people are saying here, I hope that they go back to the original colors. I think personally it adds something to the story. If you haven't read, the original colors are very vibrant, very much not primary colors per se, but they're just big and bold and vibrant. And then Bolland revised them several years back to be more realistic. And while they're very professional, I think that the original colors hit with a harder impact. Yes, that's what I'm talking about tonight, is we're going to be talking about comic books. Crazy stuff. Welcome. Well, anyway. What else did we have? We've got some Mr. Miracle news. So Tom King posted to Instagram yesterday with details about the Mr. Miracle TV show that we heard was announced by DC Studios. Here's his words. Just announced and coming soon. Mr. Miracle, a new adult animated series from DC Studios and Warner Brothers based on the Eisner-winning best-selling comic by myself and semi-professional nerd genius Mitch Gerads. This is the interesting part to me. Beyond, we knew that he was show running, but he also says, working with a dream team of animators and storytellers, including Mitch himself, who drew that gorgeous teaser art up there. Hard to express how excited I am to be working on this, what a joy it is. I love these characters. I love the world that the King, Jack Kirby, built from a pencil tip. Thank you all for supporting the book, blah, blah, blah. This came out, this news got further details on, all the Hollywood trade publications. And Tom King is going to be writing every episode of the show himself. So, it is an adaptation of the book he did. And he's working in Hollywood on various things. But I did think that was interesting, having him write every episode. That's a lot of pressure, I mean, it's going to rise and fall on him at this point. That's a great point, EJ. I can't imagine a better cover than the Joker camera shot, but we'll see. Sometimes it doesn't have to be better, it just has to be different. But yeah. I'm glad to see DC doing animated shows. I thought that Creature Commandos was pretty good. And I'm all for animated stuff. The only real animated stuff Marvel has done that's MCU is What If? And obviously that's fairly tangential because it's not directly affecting any ongoing continuity in those movies or TV shows. Obviously, they're also producing things like their Neighborhood Spider-Man show and X-Men 97, but neither of those are really tied into the MCU continuity. But I would totally be okay with the occasional animated show. Like, what if we got Silver Surfer? I would say that you could create something much more vibrant and dynamic and exciting on a much more cost-efficient basis with a really good animated series, for instance. Or what if we got some more Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket's team? It's got Rocket and Groot and Cosmo, all these CG characters. Let's do it, but do it as an animated show, and it's official. I don't know. It seems to me like it would be a good idea. King working on a character from The King. It's a good book, in my opinion. If you haven't read it, the Mr. Miracle 12-issue run is really, really cool. Oh, that's true. There was the Eyes of Wakanda show. I did forget that. Oops. So they did do at least one show that's technically, again, it's in the MCU continuity. I guess what I'm talking about is why not do stuff that, you can get like the actor, but have them just do a voice and it's set in like, the modern ongoing continuity. What if you just wrapped up some loose threads on Eternals? Because you're probably not going to do another Eternals movie, but what if you did just a one-shot animated special to tie up those loose ends? The movie ends with a bunch, like about 3 different cliffhangers. Yeah. So, some of Marvel shows like really don't do well because of the marketing. I am convinced that The Marvels is a really good movie. It's not like one of their absolute best, but it's solidly in the top of the middle. I like The Marvels a lot. And it didn't do well. And I think it was the marketing, but that's me. Oof, brutal. Didn't realize that some people didn't like this. I thought that it was a really good take on Mr. Miracle personally. Yeah, I guess I understand that. You're saying, like, don't bother doing anything more Eternals. I sort of get that, but I would be curious what they are going to do about, for instance, at least Black Knight. I would like to see Black Knight show up again. I like that character. Thank you. All right, what else we got? Okay, glad that somebody else is on my side. Appreciate it. Oh, this is kind of fun. Obviously, last week we talked about the Batman Deadpool comic that DC published, Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. Well, now that it's out, Grant Morrison is giving readers a small peek behind the scenes with his newsletter on Substack. These are just a couple quotes. And if you like it, maybe you want to subscribe to their Substack, Xanadu. The Deadpool Deathstroke gags were some of the first that sprung to mind in the initial rush of dialogue exchanges. It's no secret that Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld was inspired to some extent by the DC villain Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson. Batman simply assumes that Deadpool, Wade Wilson, is some kind of multiversal variant of his old enemy, which allowed us to beat this gag flat in the dirt. I kind of like that, to be honest. That was one of the better gags, was throughout the whole thing, Batman kept thinking he was a version of Slade Wilson. And Wade's like, I'm Wade. It's totally different. In one scene, Deadpool uses a web gun, kind of like Spider-Man's webbing. And Grant talked about what their original joke was. The web gun gets its big moment. The original line here was, I got an ejaculation gun, but Marvel nixed it. My replacement line seems worse to me. It says, death by happy ending. It's okay. Yeah, it doesn't hit very hard. I get why the team had created something and then they had to change it. So Marvel got in there. What do you do at that point? They're like, no, you can't use that line, but you've already sort of scripted the scene. You got to come up with a replacement. It's going to be hard to hit as good. This last one is one I wanted to include. I came up with two ideas. He's talking about the cover. Okay, the cover. For the Dan Mora one, I suggested Batman and Deadpool doing Superman versus Muhammad Ali, battling before an enthusiastic crowd of cheering angels. The conceit was to have been provided by a cover blurb reading Bat God versus Marvel Jesus, referring to the latest Deadpool movie, of course, until we were told that God and Jesus were off limits. Too bad. That could have been a fun cover. I think that if you've seen the Frank Quitely cover, folks, where Deadpool is sort of adjusting Batman's cowl for him, that is a reference to a pretty famous gay piece of artwork with two cowboys with no pants, sort of one's adjusting the other's tie. And that's kind of funny that did get approved, but a blurb, Bat God versus Marvel Jesus, was no. So that was explicitly based on a pretty famous piece of gay artwork. Yeah, I can imagine that. That's not bad. Could have called it the Cream Machine. It really is nuts when you know. I don't remember if it's like a Tom of Finland poster or not. The artwork. I've seen the original painting or artwork that it's based on. I can't quite remember who did the art. I don't think it's Tom of Finland, but it might be. I'm not much of an expert when it comes to gay artwork, believe it or not. It is Tom of Finland. Okay, that's about the only one I know, so good. Thank you, Steve. Hoping for more DC Marvel crossovers. They've said that we are getting more in 2026. My favorites in the past are Superman, Fantastic Four. That's interesting. And JLA Avengers. One of their best, no question. Can't wait for Spider-Man, Superman reprint. I'm convinced. Actually, didn't they already confirm that they're doing new Superman, Spider-Man stories for the year anniversary? I'm pretty sure. And it's just like referencing him, like in a joke that was from the movie. So they're like, no. That's no. I'm sorry. You were going to say that Deadpool is Marvel Jesus on the cover of a comic? No. We don't want to deal with that kind of backlash. All right. By the way, if you're curious what's coming up or what you've missed, I've put in order the topics that I'll be talking about tonight on the scroll. Oh, DC, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? It is time to talk about Hush 2 once more. Or Hatoosh, if you read it the way they've stylized it with the H2SH, Hatoosh. So Batman number 163 by Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee has been delayed again. It is now set for March 25th. And hey, March 25th isn't that far away, I suppose, but it's still a ways away. And that is the final issue of their Hush 2 story. And it will be a 7-month delay for that final issue. Woo. There's a good Tom from Finland movie. Oh, never heard of it. Thanks for the super chat, though. Hush 2, hush up. It's just taken a while. The main Batman series has already continued. They decided we're not going to push back that. It's just going to overlap. Okay? And it will have 7 issues out by the time the final issue of this 6-issue series comes out. Wow. Finally, the monthly title seems to be avoiding any references, at least so far, 3 issues in, seems to be avoiding any references to characters like Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon, and exactly what happened with them in the course of this story. We'll see. It seems like they're giving them a little bit of a berth to fit this story in. I've heard, so take this with a grain of salt, but I've heard Jim Lee intentionally waits till he has few time left till his deadline to actually do his pencils because he thinks he does his best under pressure. Well, he does draw fast. I've seen him draw, and he draws fast and very confident. But I don't know. Look, Jim Lee is obviously a very busy guy. As the president of the DC Comics world, he's coordinating a million things and publicizing things, you know. But that said, they announced this ages ago. It's like, why even bother announcing it if you haven't finished it? I say just because we didn't need this, say, last year or anything like that. We would have taken it whenever. Just do it, finish it, and then publish it and announce it. I don't know. We are, of course, assuming that it's Jim Lee, and theoretically, since nothing's been announced, maybe somehow Jeff Loeb delivered the scripts really late, but that does seem less likely to me. I don't know. Hush 2, is it going to be redeemed? Makes sense. No, like, here's the thing. If you put a plate of food in front of me and it was half dog poop, I'm not going to expect that by the time I'm down to the last few bites, all of a sudden it's going to taste delicious. You know what I mean? It just, they didn't have a great idea. I actually don't think that the artwork by Jim Lee is the problem. I think that the story is just very, very low stakes, very, very not new. It doesn't excite me at all. I tried it for 3 issues, and I was just like, no. Legacy numbering, I assume that they'll retroactively just consider this previous volume all the issues going up to the Matt Fraction Jorge Jimenez era, just because continuity-wise, that's the intent. But yeah, I felt it was quite, bad would almost like be better, because like if they tried something really crazy and I was like, oh, it didn't work for me, but maybe it would work for someone else, then that's an example of bad that I can respect. I just call it very, very generic, very average, and it did not excite me at all. So I was just amazed, though. 7 months delay is pretty big. Well, moving on. There's other cool things to talk about. I like this. The Canada Post. That's their government mail system. Just like the U.S. has the post office, Canada Post takes care of stamps and mailing and all that good stuff. Well, they've designed these 6 new stamps for some of their most successful Canadian comic book artists, each reading their own comic book, which I just absolutely love. We've got Kate Beaton looking at Ducks, Jimmy Below, Non-Adventures, Guy Delisle. I've talked him up several times on my shows. He's reading his book Jerusalem, although my favorite is probably Pyongyang. We've got Julie Doucet, Journal, 2004. Brian Lee O'Malley, everybody knows Scott Pilgrim. And Michael Nicol Yagalanas, who I'm not familiar. I'm going to guess might be First Nations. I'm not sure. In May of 2024, they had made stamps. So this is technically their second wave of cartoonist stamps to 2024. And these are still available, actually. I asked. And Canada has Chester Brown, Michael Rabagliati, Seth, and cousins Jillian and Mariko Tamaki. So nice representation there. Yeah, I met him years ago when it was still coming out at a Small Press Expo. Really cool. Oh, I would love that. Michael DeForge is a guy I've known since he was like 14 or something. He was always talented. Love Kate Beaton's work. Hope she does some more comedy stuff soon. Yeah, I don't know. I think that this is really nice. Average readers realizing there's more to Canadian comics than just Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, I know. Canadian Post has been having a tough year but yeah. Jeff Lemire, Chip Zdarsky. There's a lot of really talented creators out there, but this is nice. Here's the one thing though, folks. Shipping to the US, that used to be a thing. If you wanted to order Canadian stamps, you used to be able to have them ship them here. If you were a collector, for instance, and you liked art series like this. But it's been temporarily halted due to something called customs changes. So unless you have a local friend that's willing to buy some stamps and send them to you, you can't just order it online. No other international destinations are available for delivery. So this is something that just Canadians get. I don't know if Randy is still in the chat, but my buddy Randy's up in Vancouver. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Wait, yeah. Dave Sim is Canadian, isn't he? Nope, that's what I was just talking about. They're not, at least right now, available there. Spawn or Cerebus, good examples. However, I suppose if I'm thinking it through, Spawn at least is, published here in America, and Cerebus, I believe, is too. So I don't know, but those aren't bad suggestions. Like, there are definitely a lot of amazing Canadian creators. You know what it might be, folks? Well, no, never mind. I don't know how they went about choosing these. The more I think about it, I really don't know. You got it tonight, just so that you can see what's coming up or what you missed, because I get questions in the live chat like, "Do you talk about this yet?" Well, now you can just sort of have an idea of where we are in the topic list. Captain Canuck. All right. So, Elena Mistrella we're going to talk about. And this and the next story are really going to make you guys love France. I say with the heaviest heaping of irony that I possibly can. I'm sorry, but France is about to get crapped on a little bit. But it's just news. So, Italian comic book artist Elena Mistrello was expelled from France last Friday after flying into, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but one of their airports, planning to attend the Colomiers International Comics Festival to promote the French edition of her graphic novel, Syndrome Italie. Great. But as soon as she landed, she was given no explanation, simply told that she was, quote, a grave threat to public order at the time that she arrived, and she was given two choices. She could either get on the first flight directly back to Milan, or they were going to arrest her. So, of course, she flew back. Mid-flight home, she was told why she was turned away. It was because she was considered Antifa based on her participation in the 2023 Paris Memorial, marking the 10th anniversary of Clement Mérique's murder. And that was a young activist killed by far-right skinheads back in 2013. So apparently, going to a memorial for somebody that was killed puts you now on an Antifa list where you're not allowed into the country. What? So I thought that was pretty damn extreme. I mean, trust me, America's got plenty of problems too, but that was, wow. That was like, I saw this story and I was just like, France is messed up. I do want to visit France someday, but it's falling lower on my priority list. There are other countries I am going to bump up on my travel list before I go to France at this point, because just, wow. Yeah. Anti-skinhead is now a bad thing. You put her on some sort of list anyway. I put her on a list and they just didn't even allow her in. She landed. They made her turn right back around. She flew to France. All right. And now it's time for another big French story. The latest update with Angouleme. It's a big one. It's not like there's lots of news actually to explain, but we've been talking about this. If you're just hearing about this news story for the first time, just know I've been talking about this for maybe the last 3 weeks. So I'll try to recap some of the background so that there's some context, but a lot of people might be a little more up to date if they watch regularly. Anyway, the Angouleme Festival, which is a humongous, over a week long comic book convention, but like throughout the whole city of Angoulême, France. It's not going to take place this January. The organizer, 9E Art Plus, who they place the blame on public funding, but the organizer has officially, I think they're calling it delayed, but functionally, the festival is canceled this year. It's just not enough time to turn things around. I'll talk about why this is happening and what has been said by the organizers, which isn't going to earn them any fans. But yeah, unfortunately for the townspeople and for the comic book loving public that enjoy the show, and I don't blame them for that, it is not happening this year. So what basically pros and publishers all are in lockstep on boycotting this show. If they did the show, there were going to be no guests. There was going to be no support from actual comic book people there. So they were boycotting unless the organizer of the event, which is not the same as the owner, to be clear. There's like the owner and they hire an organizer, okay? But the organizer, 9E Art Plus, all the pros and publishers said unless they are removed from that role, they're not going to attend. And 9E Art Plus was not going to step down, and the show owners were showing no signs of being willing to remove them, and like TikTok. And the reason they're boycotting, in simplest terms, there was a huge report in a French publication, Les Humanités, but it alleges a lot of money mismanagement, and also the fact that 9E Art Plus fired an employee who reported that she was essayed, those are that's an abbreviation, assaulted at the past year's festival. And when she did that, placed that report, instead of investigating, they fired her. Now, they say that they fired her for work reasons, but that does not, the optics on it do not look good at all. They definitely didn't do an investigation. Wow, thank you, Ryder. I appreciate it. Ryder Lundquist does a bunch of self-published comics that is sent into the channel before. Yeah, it's the public's fault they fired a person who reported assault. Exactly. Yeah, France, the home of Roman Polanski and Luc Besson. There's some good people there too, right? We love Jeff Darrow, don't we? I think we can universally say we love Jeff Darrow, who's made a home for himself there. So it cannot be an all bad place. It can't be. I love Jeff Darrow. I love him. He is just the best. So I trust him. But this is bad. This is just a bad story. So the president of this organizing company, Frank Bondeau, has demanded to remain as the festival organizer for the 2027 event. And the reason, by the way, is that this company does have a contract to be the organizer through 2027. So that might mean that there's no festival next year either, just to be clear, with the way things are going. According to Bondo's letter, oh, I misspelled his name there, sorry. The 2026 cancellation, that's this January, it was due entirely to national, regional, departmental, and municipal administrators' joint decision on November 20th to withdraw their funding. This is a huge event, and it adds a lot to the economy of this town. Half of the funds to put on a show of this scale, which again is not in a convention center, it's the whole town, okay? Half of the funds come from various government organizations because it pumps money into the economy. Anyway, they pulled their funding because people were boycotting it. They would be throwing money into a bottomless hole at that point. They saw that the festival was not going to happen without participation. So they pulled their funding on the 20th. And Bondo says that that's the reason they're not putting the show on. The letter does not address the boycotts at all. It's like, well, what's the reason they're not giving you the money? The boycotts. And what's the reason for the boycotts? Just not going to talk about it. Just going to pretend it's not there. The event draws around 200,000 people from out of town, and it sustains this town during the quieter parts of the year. If you have, say, a town like the one I grew up in Massachusetts, there are some towns in Massachusetts that really only survive because of the summer tourism on the beaches. It'd be sort of like that. If you've seen the movie Jaws, the mayor wants to keep the town open because that's when the town makes the money. This town. So here's the reason I'm sad. I am sad because the locals in Angouleme are going to be hurting from this. It's like, is it a bummer for the comic book fans to not get a convention? Absolutely. Is it a bummer for the publicists and the pros to not have a huge venue to promote their stuff? Yeah, that hurts a little. But who's it really hurting at the end of the day? Unfortunately, the local townspeople who, rely on this. And it's a bummer. It's a really, I think it's the right thing to do, to put this kind of pressure on the event to clean up their act, because they want to have long-term success, right? You got to have a clean, successful, well-run organization so that you can continue to have this event. And so they're doing, a short-term thing that's really going to hurt. Really going to hurt. France calls comics the ninth art. That's why this organization that runs it is called 9E Art Plus. It's the ninth art. And I love that they respect comic books this much. But what can you do? They have canceled it. It's not happening this year. I won't be surprised if Angouleme, the town, tries to put some sort of smaller event in place themselves, but it's not going to be the same. It doesn't have the infrastructure to do that. Thinking about all the stock the local independent businesses probably ordered in prep for the event. Yeah, think of not just bookstores. Think of the restaurants, the hotels, all these places that probably stock up and gear up for something huge like this. That is fair. Yes, it's great the comics are called the ninth art. However, hand-knit potholders are ahead of it. They're the eighth art. So, you win some, you lose some. I know, that's a really good point. It is kind of hilarious that the mayor is still the mayor in Jaws 2. We're dealing with a second shark attack. It's like, wait a minute. Objectively, the mayor handled that horribly and lost some townspeople. Why did they elect him again? We don't know. We'll never know. All right. Moving forward, though, I think that we've said what we need to say. By the way, just gorgeous artwork here by Frank Quitely for last year's poster. I really love it. But I'm a nerd for Frank Quitely. Infernal Hulk. Why do I have that shown here? Well, it's more because of the writer. Phillip Kennedy Johnson, well known to fans for his work on Superman and Batman, no question there. Been doing that for about 10 years. This week, he signed an exclusive contract, multi-year, not known yet how many years, but multi-year contract with Marvel. So not going to be doing any more DC stuff in the future. In a press release, Johnson did explain that his current ongoing series at DC, Adventures of Superman, Batman and Robin, those will continue to completion. So it doesn't interfere with that. But after those wrap up, he's only going to be working for Marvel. Johnson has a quote. "My friends at Marvel have been ideal collaborators, and I'm extremely honored and excited that they've asked me to play such a bigger role in the company. Now that our Incredible Hulk run is kicking off its second act with Infernal Hulk #1, and with the other mind-blowing projects we're putting together for 2026 and 2027, it felt like the right time to make Marvel my comics home for a while." Yeah, good. That's awesome. Mike figured it out. I'll talk about Infernal Hulk later, but that's a win for Marvel, in my opinion. I think Phillip Kennedy Johnson, great writer, really, really rock solid. And, Marvel, I wish, had a few more artists who really excited people. I think that they've got a number of fantastic artists, a lot of them from places like Italy and Brazil and stuff these days. But, they need somebody like a Daniel Warren Johnson or a Dan Mora to be like their go-to main person. And I don't know that they quite have that right now. They've got a lot of good artists, really good artists that I really respect. And they have a lot of great writers right now. But I think that they need a few more really exciting artists. I also think that DC has just been doing more creator-focused ideas. Like, what do you want to do with these characters? Do it. Very little editorial interference. As compared to Marvel, they're still pushing event after event. Like I tried to get on the X-Men train after the Krakoa era. I was like, cool, good jumping on point. I like Gail Simone. I'm going to read that one. But it kept getting interrupted by all these different events. And I'm just like, enough. I can't. I just want to read one book at a time and enjoy it. And I am getting that, I will say, with Hulk. Hulk is getting to do its own thing. So, Dennis Camp and Pepe Larraz on Avengers or X-Men. I think that would be very exciting. Pepe Larraz is definitely one of their absolute best. Dennis Camp crushing it these days. I was excited to see that, is it Joshua Williamson, I believe, is taking over Iron Man. That's a win. But they need to pair him with like an artist that really excites people. Not an up-and-comer and already established. That's just my 2 cents. It depends. Not every book can have an established heavy hitter. That's absolutely true. You have to have a mix of emerging talent and really big heavy hitters, but still. Oh, I'm sure that Marvel did ask. I just think that Dan has been taking the opportunities that excite him the most because he can write his own ticket. I'm sure that Marvel gave him a wide berth of options. I'm sure that they did. It's starting a different sort of chapter, I'll say, with Infernal Hulk, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Iron Man has had some great runs, but it's been a while. I would say that one of his best runs was when guys like David Michelinie, Bob Layton, John Romita Jr. were working on it. That was the era that we got things like Devil in a Bottle and Armor Wars. I would call that a great era. I really would. But yeah, after that, I'm trying to think. Was it Warren Ellis that did the Extremis armor? That was really, really good at the time. I don't know if it holds up. I haven't read it again in a long time, but there's not that many. Iron Man has had a lot of good stuff with Avengers. Superior Iron Man. Yeah, I heard that was pretty good, but I didn't read it. I didn't read that, so I don't know. Oh, that's true. Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil did have a really good run. Anything by Denny is usually really, really good. Usually. All right, I'll put the banner back up so that you can see where we're at, and I'll keep going. Sarah Pichelli, such a good artist. This past week was the Milan Games and Cartoonist convention. That's what they call it. Peach Momoko was there. A lot of people were there. There was also an Ultimate Spider-Man panel with guests Brian Michael Bendis, Sarah Pichelli, C.B. Cebulski, among others. And Bendis announced that he and Sarah Pichelli will reunite on some sort of a mystery project for Marvel Comics in 2026. Good. They're a good team. If you don't know, then that's fair. But Bendis and Pichelli, pretty famous for creating Miles Morales. They did that together. Sarah was the original artist on Ultimate Spider-Man during the Miles Morales introduction. And yeah, don't know if they're, for instance, doing something on Miles now. Miles has definitely evolved and grown. I think been influenced by some other good writers. I think that the animated movies added a lot to his character in terms of adding his interest in street art and music. I think that that helps differentiate him a little bit from Peter Parker. Yeah, I think that they're good together, but they might be doing something brand new, and I wouldn't be against that because yeah, they've proven that they can do something good together. So yeah, the video game was really good. Miles really benefited from both the game and the movies because he wasn't in any way bad before that. I liked Miles from the beginning, but he wasn't that different than Peter Parker. In fact, it kind of shows that Peter Parker being like a white guy, not the most important part, like growing up, you know, in one of the outer boroughs of New York and having to balance sort of, you know, being a nerdy scientist, but, you know, money problems and family drama and stuff like that, that everymanness was the most important part. And Miles represented that as well. But to make him different, like I think that the movies and the games, giving him a little bit more, just having that interest in the arts has shifted who Miles is in a really good way. And I think it's helped him evolve. He was just, and I don't blame that, Bendis or Pichelli for that. I think a lot of characters take a little while to evolve into something great, at least in serialized superhero comics. That's interesting. Well, that could be related. Sherb says, according to solicitations, Cody Ziegler's Miles is ending. So maybe that is clearing the way for Pichelli and Bendis to come back onto their character. It would make sense. I just don't know. I think, you know what can make a pretty good comic? Make it a two-hander. I think that, for instance, Power Man and Iron Fist, each of them were only doing okay. Then Marvel put them together, Heroes for Hire. Well, they made Power Man and Iron Fist. And it was like a team-up book. Don't you think that, you know, not creating a new team like Champions or New Warriors or anything, just Miles Morales and Kamala Khan as like two superheroes that just work together and are like really good friends and stuff, I think that would make for a really good comic. I think that there's not enough of partnerships. There's heroes and sidekicks, and there's teams. But I think that realistically, sometimes you have a best friend or a work colleague. And I think that, like, yeah, I mean, buddy cop movies are a thing, right? Buddy cop is like a subgenre of action movies. I think that could work really well, elevating two characters that do pretty good, but might do better together on an ongoing basis. Miles and Laura, sure. I'm not against that. Sorry, I missed. Yeah, a family superhero comic, Luke, Jessica, and their kid. Totally for something like that as well. World's Finest, good example. Absolutely. Absolutely. Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. I think that there are several examples of it. I think that would work really well. I think that there's something to Miles and Kamala have very different families and backgrounds, but they are both like go-getters. You know, they're very smart. They're sort of outsiders in that regard, you know, nerdy a little bit, but very good at superheroing. And they're sort of like the newest young generation. I think that they'd work together very, very well. I also really like that. And I love that they've continued to always be best friends, even when they have like just their own individual run or something like that. The fact that, you know, Luke Cage named his daughter Danny with an I after his best friend. I love that. They're so different, but I don't know. Maybe this is too much of me pitching my idea, but I think it would work well. All right. We know what Peach is doing next. Peach Momoko has announced the next comic that she'll do once Ultimate X-Men wraps up. It's going to be another Marvel project. She's returning to her character Psy, which is her version of Psylocke. And she created that in the pages of Demon Days, which is her alternate take on the Marvel Universe. That was like maybe 2021. Good. Just giving you an idea of where we're at. So we're at the Peach Momoko, and then we'll get to Tim Seeley and Daredevil. So, yeah. This also ties in, by the way, to Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals continues to be a really popular game. They had Peach design this outfit for Psylocke, which is apparently a really popular skin to unlock. And Marvel's also doing that book, Luna Snow. Greg Pak is writing it. That's a character that's become more popular thanks to the game. But anyway, so what's Psy Dimensional Rivals going to be? In it, it's going to be, first of all, 5-issue series, and Psy travels the multiverse. You could probably guess that by Dimensional Rivals. But what's different is that Peach isn't writing and drawing the entire thing. It's her story idea. It's her framework. But the individual chapters, when they visit alternate dimensions, curated by guests, she's curated the guests that will write and draw those chapters. And she's selected Stan Sakai, Asad Ribic, Natasha Bustos, Mike Del Mundo, Sarah Pichelli, Jim Mahfood, friend of the show. Yeah. So listen to this. This is a quote from Peach. I'm happy to start a new comic about Psy with artists I've met at comic events and through work and now consider friends. For the series, Psy will be the main character. I asked various artists to have fun depicting Psy in their own unique vision. Psy will be traveling between different universes and having different experiences based on each artist's own perspectives. I think it will be a wonderful collaboration, and I hope everyone enjoys Psy's new charm. That's awesome. That's awesome. So very, very much from Peach's mind and imagination, but she's selecting the other artists that she'll be working with. Yeah, Stan Sakai, perfect fit. So, he's mostly done Usagi Yojimbo set in the Edo period of Japan. This will give him an opportunity to still tell a Japanese story. He loves working with yokai and folklore, but he can bring it into more the modern day. That can be new. Incredible lineup. So happy for my buddy Jim. Yep. Assad, nice. All killer, no filler. There you go. You get more Mike Del Mundo. Totally agree. Stan Sakai, so solid, so consistent. Sounds fun. Jimmy Jams is warming up the skull drawing ballpoints for this one. Yeah. And so they haven't announced every single collaborator necessarily. So there might be a couple more surprises, but I'm very happy with this idea. I think it's really cool. I think that people like Peach's perspective. I really do. And I'm glad that she's sort of able to take ideas from Marvel, but they're just like, do your own thing with them. You're not beholden to continuity and stuff. Take the elements that excite or interest you and play with them. I predict this will be pretty successful. I think 5 issues, get in, get out. really good. So congrats to Peach, as well as all of her artist friends that are collaborating with her. Very, very cool. Looking forward to it. That comes out issue 1, January 14th, much sooner. Yes. Peach getting the DC all-in treatment of Marvel. Peach is probably the biggest creator that they, like, biggest name that just sells a book based on her name, right? I would think. She's way up there. I think that they let her do whatever she wants, and I think that that's smart. So let's talk about something that was controversial, and I was a little surprised that it was controversial. I don't think I'm quite with the masses on this one, but let's talk about it, and maybe there's something I'm missing. So this week, writer Tim Seeley quit Twitter after there was a lot of fan backlash on that specific social media platform to the latest issue of his Marvel Infinity comic. It was X-Men Age of Revelation Infinity #4. So that's Marvel's digital reader app. They do, extra comics there that aren't print, but they're, digital. If the current stuff, Age of Revelation, it's a dark future for the X-Men, okay? So it's set in a possible dark future. Magic, Illyana Rasputin, she kills Maria Hill in the story, so Nick Fury kills her, and her soul goes to Limbo. And Limbo is the interdimensional hell dimension that she teleports through when she uses her powers. That's technically, she isn't going from like point A to point B. She technically quickly goes A, B, C. It happens like that. But she can also just go to that plane. As a kid, her origin is dark. She was raised in this hell dimension. And she's got this dark personality, the dark child. So, anyway, fans felt that this story, because of like poses like this and these words, like saying like she's talking to a demon saying like, thank you for filling my pathetic needs. They feel that it has sexual undertones. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Although the story is technically the demons Sam and Belasco forcing her to beg for food. Like that is literally what the story is, so I'm not sure yet. Seeley posted to Blue Sky, well, I had to finally deactivate Twitter because that was just a touch too much death for me and the family. It was a shitty 16-year run. Fuck everybody. So that also got fans irritated because they feel like he's not engaging with legit concerns. But I went ahead and read the story, and I just didn't have the same take on it. Not with how sexy your average superhero comic draws women in the first place. I feel that people were reading a little too much into it this time. That's me. I don't know. But yeah, apparently the backlash was more than he wanted to deal with, and I don't blame him for that. But that's the story. I just want to say, like, some of the fans were like, look, if you hadn't had an Iron Man series for many, many years, and then you killed him off, and, you made him like a slave, and you had these sexy undertones and stuff, wouldn't you be mad too? And I do get that point of view. I do. Because Magic obviously hasn't had a lot going on. But she's got this upcoming Magic and Colossus series that I think should probably raise her, what would I call it? Her presence. And, this is set in a dark possible future. So every X-Men character is having something bad happen. I don't know. I feel bad. If there's legit concern, I want to be there, but I just didn't interpret it the same way. So I guess I'm on Tim's side on this one. That's me. And if you guys think I'm the bad guy, you can come after me for that. But yeah. I also think there's something to be said that this is a smaller audience than usual when you do. It's not a nothing audience at all. Like I would write or draw a Infinity comic in a heartbeat, but it is a smaller audience than what the published page sees. And I think that people are sort of forgetting Magic's canonical history, that she's been through this before. And I think with a character like that, you know, you don't like, look, if it was a bad origin and it was sexualized in the beginning, yeah, of course you don't keep doing that. But she rose to be the leader of Limbo and became powerful. And you have to start that with the character as an underdog. So it's just sort of like repeating and reinforcing who that character is. At least that's how I take it. Anyway, I guess I don't have much more to say. Take of that what you will. Moving forward. Daredevil. We're going to talk about the Daredevil show. So Disney has this page up for the Daredevil show. It's removed the specific release date for the show's official internal press page. So we might have a delay. Originally on the press portal, it listed it as coming out March 4th, which is, you know, what, 3 months? Oh, no, 4 months now. 3 months. January, February, March. 3 months. Jeez. I can do math. All right, more caffeine. Now you can't see the date. Just says 2026 here. The MCU has, for their shows, they've confirmed all 8 episodes of Wonder Man come out January 27th, but they're much more vague with everything else. Vision Quest is just next fall. X-Men 97 Season 2 is mid-year, and this is just 2026. That said, I would expect it close to the March 4th date, if not still the March 4th date. That's basically when it came out last year. I think that they probably still have a bunch of it. They may be delaying it slightly. I doubt they'd delay it months and months, you know? But I think we would have heard about reshoots before we heard about a delay. They should, yeah, they're too far along to be dealing with like a reshoot that would delay it at this point. They just can't be. So I don't know. Maybe Marvel's like going to delay it very slightly, but I'll keep up to date and let you guys know if they announce anything. We'll see. I liked season 1, and I'm looking forward to season 2 because they won't have had to deal with any sort of reshoots. So it should ideally be a little more consistent. But I liked season 1. This is a little sad, but I wanted to give a shout out to somebody that I grew up with. Danny Seagren was the first live action Spider-Man on television, and he passed away November 10th at the age of 81. He worked for the Children's Television Workshop in New York City. He played Spider-Man for 3 years on the Electric Company, and I grew up watching that show. So yeah, Wonder Man looks like a blast, and X-Men 97, hell yeah. But I hope both are good. I really hope so. Thank you, Steve. So, you know, just somebody that played a part of my childhood. Yeah, somebody else knows. Nobody knows who you are. That was the song that they would play. He also occasionally performed, by the way, as certain Muppets for Jim Henson's company. Children's Television Workshop also produced Sesame Street. So he even played Big Bird once or twice. Anyway, yeah, so, you know, just a unique guy that had to have some athleticism and the right build, but famously, Spider-Man did not talk on the Electric Company. Because it was designed to be a learning show, Spider-Man would talk in word balloons, and so it was to help make kids want to read. It was nice. It was really cute. It was also my first exposure to Spider-Man. In retrospect, that is definitely what I knew before I even knew any of the cartoon versions. It made you think that superheroes couldn't speak. Yep. Morgan Freeman was the easy reader on that show. It was a good show. It was a really fun show as a kid. I liked it a lot. Yep. Spider-Man versus the Wall. they took this version of Spidey and created a comic called Spidey Super Stories. Those are bug nuts insane. Just crazy. So anyway, just a guy that I thought deserved a little bit of our respect. Electric Company made Spidey a Mets fan, like me. That's true. Canonically, Peter is a Mets fan. The Thanos copter is from Spidey Super Stories. All right. Here, a man is donating his comics, basically to help feed people. I'll explain. There's a Lincoln, Nebraska CEO, and he's putting up his Spider-Man comics collection to auction to raise funds for hunger education. Now, the guy's name is Nate Blum, and he runs Sorghum United Foundation. It's a nonprofit devoted to finding solutions to feeding everyone. And so he's raising money for that nonprofit. He estimates that his collection, which he's been collecting since he was a teenager, should be able to go for $1.5 million. So it's about 2,000 Amazing Spider-Man first prints, lots of key issues, good condition. He's putting it up. And yeah, he says that serious bids can be sent to him directly. So I think he's looking for someone to potentially buy a bunch all at once. But yeah, it seems like a nice nonprofit organization. And I read up on this guy, Nate Blum. I was like, well, I don't know who it is. Like, this is a pretty small organization. I've never heard of it. Is it legit? Yeah, it's legit. Okay. Nate Blum, I guess, had one of his eyes, like 7 or 10 years ago, like a while back, was dealing with really bad glaucoma. Well, he decided to have it instead of like working on like trying to like get some sort of partial solution or something like that. He had it removed and donated to science to study the effects of glaucoma to potentially help other people. So he seems like he's probably a pretty altruistic guy. I give this man a comic trooper double salute. It does seem like a good thing from what I've read. I can afford a bit of maybe $20. I don't know if he's planning on selling them piecemeal. I would assume he'd want to sell them in a big lot, but maybe several lots. I don't know. The news articles didn't show too much about that, but good for this guy. Good for this guy. Yeah, he gets a bad. I think he got a glass eye from like he's got a photo on the Sorghum United Foundation website. He's got a photo. He doesn't have an eye patch, so I assume he's got something like that. But yeah, yeah, superhero. Give him a hug for Spider-Man. Good for him. He got his pleasure out of these comics. He's willing to donate it to his sell it and donate the money to his company. I think it's sounds like a noble goal, finding ways to actually, we definitely have the capacity on this planet to feed everyone. We just need to figure out how to get that food to everyone and where to grow it and how to irrigate it properly. And then like how to get people the actual protein and vitamins that they need. So like it's doable. It's more than doable. We definitely have enough space and capacity for feeding everybody. But a lot of people in the world go hungry. So, yeah. I wish him luck. It sounds like a good cause. So I just thought I'd put it out there. Power Rangers, meanwhile. The solicitation copy for Boom Studios' Power Rangers Prime series revealed that issue 15, which I show here, is going to be the penultimate issue, second to last. Now, the TV show apparently ended back in 2023 with Cosmic Fury. I thought that it had ended, but I don't keep up to date. I had to look this up. So now fans are going to be actually entering a period with no new Power Rangers since it began here back in 1993. It went for 30 seasons. And so, yeah, we've had 2 years without a show, but at least there have been the toys and the comic books so that you could get new American stories based on Power Rangers. Boom has been publishing the Power Rangers comics since 2016. 10 years. The current series Prime introduces new Rangers that aren't being adapted from existing TV shows. So they're kind of telling very, very new stories. Yeah, I guess Hasbro bought it and did nothing with it. I think Disney owned it for a while. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Super Sentai is also ending? That's even more epic. I wouldn't be surprised to see Saban buy it back again. Not that I'm an expert. I'm just saying they bought it back once from Disney, and I could sort of see them doing it again. It seems like they're the only ones that kind of understand what to do with it. Sentai in Japan is ending after 50 years. That is news to me. Huh. What do you mean the next series is a reboot? Do you mean the next TV series? Because they haven't announced anything more for the comics beyond this, just to be clear. Oh, Sentai isn't ending, they're just rebranding it. That makes a little more sense, because if you see how much merchandise there is, every time I've visited Japan, there's definitely Super Sentai merchandise. Tell you what, folks, I'm going to give you a tease. This month, I am going to look at something Super Sentai on this on the main channel on Comic Tropes. I know it. Why? And that's not like a side thing. Like, I'm going to legit review some Super Sentai. There's a reason for it. It's coming. Do I know anything about it? Just the overall sort of history of how it was created and stuff. Do I know Power Rangers lore? No. For that, you definitely go to Linkara. He's the guy that knows that. But yeah, I am going to be doing something Super Sentai on the Comic Tropes channel this month, and it's pretty crazy, and I hope you guys like it. Hasbro annoys me sometimes. So I guess Hasbro currently has the license to Power Rangers and is basically doing nothing with creating new stories for it. But yeah, oh my God, Hasbro has an app called Pulse where you can buy their stuff. And if you're a member, you get free shipping and you get like an access to stuff about an hour before it's on sale for everyone. But it is such a broken app, and it has been for a while. I collect G.I. Joe Classified, and maybe like not quite a year ago, sometime this year, they had a new drop of G.I. Joe Classified. And I kept trying to add it to my cart, and it kept glitching. And I kept trying it over and over again. And so Hasbro canceled my account, saying that it thought that I was a bot. And they made no effort to bring it back. They were like, nope, your account has already been banned. And they wouldn't let me create a new account with that email anymore. So that really annoyed me. That really annoyed me. Yeah, I put it there for people that are joining mid so that they can see where we're at and where it's going. Spider-Man, go Leopardin! I love it. All right, that was fun to talk about. Just an opportunity here for anybody looking to potentially break in. I'll give my thoughts on it in a sec, but let me give some details. Line Manga has opened submissions for the Line Manga Webtoon Grand Prix 2025. And that's a contest designed to discover new talent making webtoons. Fair enough. The event offers total prize money up to 10 million yen, which is about $64,000. And there's like about 10 winners. So like, the main one gets most of that, but then there's like some of that is broken down with spots 2 through 10. Guaranteed publication, global distribution for the grand prize, along with editorial support. That's nice to see. The contest is open to original webtoon format, as in vertical scrolling. Any genre. It could be color, it could be monochrome. They're open to either. And there's the submission window. Now here's the thing. When you do this, you're almost definitely giving up the rights to that creation. So just know that going in. Maybe you want to get your foot in the door and you're willing to give away, the rights to an idea. But I would say if you've got your favorite idea, keep that one in your back pocket. If you want to break in, just show people what you can do, get an audience. That's why I'm putting it out there. But please read the submission guidelines to know what you're getting into, okay? Because you might be giving up all your rights. I don't know. I just want to put that out there. All these contests for emerging talent just take with a grain of salt. It can be a good opportunity if you know what you're doing. But it can also like take advantage of you. All right, I'll keep going. Ninja Turtles. So season 2 of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that premieres on Paramount Plus this month, December. And it's going to run on Nicktoons next year. But Paramount announced this week that they're canceling the show along with Dora. I thought Dora the Explorer is super popular. But they are canceling both of those. Now, why? Well, Paramount recently sold itself. So they've got new ownership. And their TV media chairman, George Cheeks, that's his name, he announced plans to streamline how many shows they make. So they're focusing on their biggest properties like SpongeBob, Paw Patrol, things like that. Ninja Turtles and Dora, maybe, but not right now. Well, the movies, the animated movies we haven't heard are ending, but the TV show that like is tied to it, yeah. Paramount also canceled the development of their live action adaptation of TMNT The Last Ronin. They were going to make a movie based on that is a humongous hit that continues to sell very well as trade paperback. Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty hard R rating, but it feels very authentic to the original Ninja Turtles mythos. And why wouldn't it? Eastman and Laird came up with the idea for it. So yeah, they're not right. This is sort of a spin-off. It's set between the movies, but it has the same voice actors, which was cool. Anyway, they are still making the movies, as far as we know, but they're not going to make this live-action Last Ronin movie. Today, just a little while before I started the show, Paramount said that they are working on a new hybrid live-action animation TMNT movie. Not quite sure what they mean by that, unless they mean live-action CGI, but not clear. They also said they were doing another Sonic universe movie, like an event movie, they said. So they're still making a Sonic 4, but they're also doing some sort of a Sonic live-action hybrid movie. I don't know. But again, let me loop back and just say, with Paramount selling itself, I bet you anything, the new leadership came in and were like, wait, you're making an R-rated Ninja Turtles movie? No, we don't want to spend that money. That doesn't sound right. Because they don't know the property well enough yet. Ninja Turtles Last Ronin was a humongous hit. And yeah, I think it was a smart idea to develop it because it's different and it was popular. And I think a lot of people would know about it and it would have a lot of good buzz. But anyway, for now, they've canceled it. Everything I read said that they're not developing it anymore. You don't think it was a good call? I think it was a good call. I think that it was popular enough and different enough that it would have done well. Right. Variety says it's a spinoff, technically. Yeah. I'm not super surprised with Paramount being sold that they're sort of resetting things. I just hope that they keep making the Mutant Mayhem movies. Well, the first one anyway, I thought was really good. And I hope that the second one is. What's this graphic hint at? Heidi McDonald wrote a really interesting article. I've got a link here to it. It's on Comics Beat, and it discusses comic book page rates and how they've remained very stagnant for at least 10, if not more years. I'm not going to recap her entire article because I think it's worth reading, but I did pull a couple quotes to, get a discussion going and hopefully interest you in reading more of it. I've got 3 quotes from 3 different pros. John Rosum says, "My page rate at DC, after being stagnant for 20 years, went down a few years ago. When I started at Milestone in the mid-90s, I made about half of what I would be 5 years later, but felt like I had a ton of money. My bank apparently did too, because I remember one of the clerks asking me what I did for a living. Now my higher page rate would make me poor," because he's talking about it hasn't kept pace with inflation. So it's like it's gone up a little from what it was back then, but it should be way up if we account for inflation. It hasn't kept pace with inflation. Nat Gertler. Last freelance comics I wrote, I negotiated up from less than a third of my 92 DC page rate unadjusted to less than half, at which point they stopped wanting me to write. Again, just no adjustment for inflation. And Colleen Duran has a pretty big one. She's talking about how, I guess, people on Kickstarter being proud of doing it that way. She's like, Kickstarter braggadocio makes for nice publicity for these small presses, but the creators aren't really getting much out of it, and they don't even know it. Perhaps some of them are happy working for minimum wage, but in truth, they are working for even less money when adjusted for inflation than indie publishers paid back in the 1980s. Indie companies paid a low of around $25 per page for a single task, like penciling. I was being paid a crappy $50 per page for story and art, but I wasn't lettering or coloring that art. $50 a page when I started out is worth over $200 now. I got $65 a page for pencils when I first went to Marvel and DC. Most small presses don't pay $200 a page today, and adjusted for inflation, they sure don't pay $250 a page for pencils alone. Yeah. So yeah, page rates have technically gone up a little here and there, but not to what they should be due to inflation. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. And I think it helps explain why we are at a point where the big publishers, Marvel and DC, do seem to use a lot of talent from abroad. Philippines, Europe, Brazil, Argentina, a lot, because the US dollar goes further there. So it's not like we're paying them as little as you'd be getting paid if you lived here. The cost of living and how far the dollar goes is different other places. I think that's the main thing. Yeah. It's a really interesting article. There's a bunch of other pros that have points of view. There's an analysis of what cost of living and inflation things have done. I think it's a pretty good read. I don't know. Yeah, I recommend it. So that was the news of the week. I think it's time to start reviewing some comics. What do you think? I agree. Huh? Who said that? Oh, the audience. Okay, we'll do some reviews.
Let's review.
Review it.
The review.
The reviews are in. I repeat, the reviews are in.
Go to reviews.
What? Speaking of bad reviews.
Don't worry about that review.
Let's review all the facts.
All right, gentlemen, let's review.
Before we do, let's review.
Those reviews really came out fast.
Maybe we can review some right now?
I'm not going to review all that again.
Now let's review.
Not my worst review.
Let's review, shall we? To review.
I think I've reviewed about as much as I can.
Okay, there we go. We've got some comics to review here. To review or not to review. But let me back out because that's zoomed in a little too much. Maybe that's a little better. What? Review. But they're just small reviews. Just giving my general impressions might be a better title for it, but that doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well. Yeah, so I will start with Absolute Batman. Give some thoughts on that. Let me see if I can improve the resolution a little. I think that what I see versus what's broadcast isn't quite the same thing. Yeah, I think my camera only broadcasts in something like 720. Oh, well. Brutal issue. No question. I like that Absolute Batman seems to be more than just a modernization. It instead has an underdog Batman by not making him super wealthy. Tetsuo! If you've seen Akira and you've read this, you know what he's referring to. But also, there's just so much body horror stuff. And so this is a rematch. Batman has gone up against Bane a couple times, and Bane has absolutely floored Batman. But Batman's going in with a plan this time, and that's different. He drops a building on Bane to just slow him down and make him, fuel up with venom. I still don't like this resolution. I can do better. Let's see. I'm just fiddling with my settings a little bit. I think that's a little better. All right. What's cool about this is that is still Batman. A Batman that comes in with a plan, and a Batman that doesn't give up. So this is Batman just, weakening Bane bit by bit, going in and out, guerrilla style. Boom, boom, boom. A little cut here, a little bash there, using weapons, kind of cheating, basically. He throws his, cape into Bane and knocks an eyeball out. But here's the thing. This Bane, the venom makes him grow and it makes him heal. So Batman has to be especially brutal. And he is. Batman just cuts him to pieces, and Killer Croc emerges. Bane has absolutely broken Batman's friends, including Waylon Jones, professional boxer. He's turned him into this crocodile mutant thing. But what's cool is he didn't just instantly turn into a villain. He's lost a lot of his mind, but he's still Bruce's friend, and he comes in and he helps. And I thought that was so cool. I loved it, that it isn't as simple as just like, oh yeah, Bane turned them all into villains. No. And in fact, we see some of the prep work, and we see that Bruce teamed up also with his friend Edward Nygma, Riddler. He teams up with Catwoman. And if you were curious if Steve was exaggerating, no, he really does go Tetsuo on this. Like, his body goes crazy in this. I won't show you every single cool image in this, but I think that Nick Dragata has a bit of a manga sense to him. Not necessarily in all of the details, the rendering, but in some of the pacing and the composition. All of a sudden I go, oh, maybe Dragata's previous book, East of West, with Hickman, is kind of manga-esque. How would I not really picked up on that before? But it is. It does have a manga tone to it. And so does this. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think they lean into it. So many panels. A few things. Let's just say it's pretty badass. It makes me really root for Batman because he goes in as such an underdog to this fight. But he's got a plan, and he sticks to it even when it doesn't appear to be working, and I like that. That's interesting. A lot of the faces like Otomo. You know what? I see a little bit of that. Yeah, it's not manga-esque the same way as if we look at Daniel Warren Johnson or something, right? But there's something to it that's a little bit manga-esque. Friend of mine who is more manga loved Absolute Martian Manhunter. A lot of people love that book, and I got to come back to it. I was appreciative of it, but I don't think I appreciated it fully. You Can't Take It Seriously. I kind of like it. A lot. In fact, I think that this week, since we got both Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman, I kind of liked Absolute Batman more. And I've been enjoying Absolute Wonder Woman the most out of the Absolute books until now. And now all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a minute. Right? This storyline against Bane, I kind of love it. By the way, we also get a small bit with Joker in this that absolutely horrified me. Like, literally gave me goosebumps on my arms and made the hair on the back of my neck stick up. Do I have any critiques? I suppose I can just agree with people that it is over the top in terms of what it is. That works for me because this was the first time I looked at it and saw it in closer to terms like what I'd get out of a sci-fi manga like Akira, as compared to only looking at it as a superhero action book. And it made me adjust my expectations in a certain way. I really like it. Look at this. Absolute Batman bailed out Hush 2 for sunk money. It's helping a lot. No, there's no Joker in this with a, I've got it. It says damaged. Now you know that I'm not to be messed with. Because I'm all messed up. Who is that? There's like an animator that has a really funny video of Joker at a tattoo shop going, I wanted to say damaged on my forehead because I'm all messed up. I wish I remembered who it was, but I don't. Let's see. I love it. I put off buying it because I was worried I was going to have to catch up, but oh well. No, each story arc so far has been very much self-contained, and I kind of like that. They're still building things. Film Cow, thank you. Film Cow has a really funny video with Joker choosing his tattoos. I probably should, yes. Look, I recommend it strongly. I loved it. I don't have any big serious critiques. I like how this arc wrapped up. It's good. It's real good. Okay. So I'll stick with DC for a minute. So look, first of all, I'm just going to give a quick opinion here. I like this cover for what it looks like, but it really has taken my fingerprints to it. And I'm trying to like sort of like rub it off, but it's not really working. So my cover does not look pristine. This would not get a good CGC rating. I guess it's good that I don't care about that. DCKO has been a pleasant surprise for me because I sincerely thought it was just going to be a tournament with like, godlike figures putting two superheroes or a superhero and a supervillain, something like that, into a small arena and saying fight. And it hasn't been exactly that at all. The first one was a race and only 32 people could make it to the end and everybody else died. Okay. This is they've hidden, out of those 32, they've hidden 16 objects of power in an arena. And once they're all claimed, half of the people die. What kind of objects of power? Wonder Woman's Lasso of Truth, power rings, a Speed Force ring, Blue Beetle's Scarab, Atom's Shrinking Belt, a Mother Box, Bane's Venom, a mystery item, basically, yeah, various things that have, I don't know all of them, I will say, because I don't know the Whirlagog. I don't know what that's from. I don't know the Whirlagog. The Genie Pen, no, I do know that. That's from, Thunderbolt. The Claw of Horus, I'm assuming could be from like Hawkman mythology, but I guess I don't know that off the top of my head. But Soul Taker's sword, Katana. I like that some of these superheroes, you'd be like, well, Atom and Katana being represented, that's kind of cool. I like it. It's from Morrison's JLA. The Whirlagog? Oh, then I guess I just don't remember it. I guess I'll have to go back and reread the JLA run at some point. That could be fun. So it's pretty cool. You get lots of matchups that you wouldn't expect, right? I mean, I get a moment of Wonder Woman fighting Etrigan, or I get Giganta coming in and just like, yeah, I don't know, wrecking havoc. Plastic Man versus Metamorpho. These are all matchups that I didn't necessarily see coming, and they're all fighting for keeps. So a lot of people get killed along the way. And the heroes are still trying to sort of act heroic, but that's not going to work because specifically they're trying to gather Omega energy, Darkseid's evil energy, by being ruthless. Lex Luthor really seems to be getting the upper hand for a while. All right, sorry, a little joke. There is, just to be clear, as crazy and bonkers as all of this is, there's a through line in the main DCKO event book, and it is focusing on Superman specifically because Superman is one of the noblest heroes, right? He's definitely got a firm stance against killing, but he does have to be ruthless in this, and he's going to have to cross some lines to have the power to undo anything that's gone before. And so that becomes the question is Superman going to be willing to kill, knowing that he can sort of undo it if he wins? But if he doesn't win, everybody dies. Like, is he willing still to cross that line in the meantime? Well, that's the question. And it really follows Superman going through that crisis of conscience, and it all being exacerbated by the intensity of this event and the timing and stuff like that. Let's just say Superman makes a really clever move in this book that I didn't see coming. And I feel like as soon as it happened, it should have been obvious, but it wasn't to me. So I'm getting surprises. You know, I didn't expect Metamorpho and what's his name? Plastic Man to go so hard. I didn't expect cool moments like Vixen versus King Shark. Zatanna and all sorts of cool characters pop in and out. There's some funny stuff, by the way, with Guy Gardner just constantly getting close to getting an object and then somebody else running in and snatching it before he can get it. It becomes a pretty funny ongoing joke. I don't want to give it all away, but it was good surprises. I couldn't predict it all, and I like that because they're willing to basically say this person definitively beats that person, and if you lose, you're out. And they've got a mechanism where, like, you know, if the good guys win, there's a way to like potentially undo some of this. But in the meantime, you don't know who's going to win. And I like it. Hey, look at this. Bronze Age Nerd does a great live stream starting at 8 p.m. Pacific with Big B McFly. Also riffs on the news, has guests. Really good show on YouTube. I heard a rumor about who gets the Speed Force ring, and that could be fun. A lot of the people that get powers in this were a surprise, and it varies up exactly what's going to happen because, you know, for instance, you may have seen it. I'll just give this one away. Joker gets Adam's size changing belt. Okay, well, what could Joker do with that? How would that work? It's interesting. Lex Luthor should also get the forehead tattoo. I'm damaged. I'm all messed up. I'm willing to kill people. If you're going to do an event, I kind of like how they're doing this because I am not, just to be clear, I'm not going to be reading all the tie-ins. I have no interest in all that. 2 issues into 5, everything's making sense and I'm getting the full story out of this. I'll let you know if that continues when next month's issue comes out, if I'm still getting the full story here. I will say that I will get the one shot where they go up against the superheroes and characters from Dynamite and IDW Comics. How can I not get that? But this is a blast. I really give it to Scott Snyder. This is full of unexpected things. This is a great stream from one of the best in the game. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already, or Lex Luthor will cut off your hand. I like that some of the villains are doing so well, and it makes you think like fun things like, oh, what would Lex Luthor versus Joker with both of them being powered up? Like, what would that be? I don't know. Maybe we'll get that. Maybe we won't. But it's kind of fun in the meantime. Because this isn't just 1v1 matches and everybody's running around, it means you get quick little battles with all the characters. And at the end of the issue, I was like, okay, here's who won what. Let me go back and see if, like, did I get all that? Some stuff happens pretty fast in just like 1 or 2 panels, but it all played fair. Nothing happened off screen that we needed to follow. All right, I got a like. Let's see. At least one of the tie-ins entirely contradicts the Phantom Zone plot element, so you're definitely getting a neater read. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I do know that Lex Luthor in this talks about how Superman made the Phantom Zone a place for rehabilitation. I don't know what contradicts it. Yeah. You can see the progression from metal to this. Snyder has been perfecting his event formula. That would be an interesting look at people who've overseen more than one event book to see what kind of things they've learned from it. I think you got to go kind of big and crazy for an event to work, because I look back at the ones that I really liked, like Infinity Gauntlet, and that also just had so much crazy stuff happening with all sorts of superheroes being killed off, and you just couldn't guess exactly where it was going. You're like, okay, I think the good guys will probably win, but how will they do that? I don't know. And again, I can get that out of this. So do I have critiques? Yeah, first of all, my fingerprints aren't showing up. Second, it happens very fast. So some of these panels, I didn't catch everything the first time, but I went back and I was like, no, they showed me everything I needed. But I still think that the art is good. I think it looks cool. I think it does some fun stuff. I'm enjoying it quite a bit as an event. I really am. I think Marvel did a good job with One World Under Doom, but what I like about this event is 5 issues beats 9 issues for me. 5 to 6 issues is plenty for an event. Infinity Gauntlet did it in 6, and I think that that's really good. I doubt I'll go into this quite as much, but Infernal Hulk has launched, and it is a continuation, to be clear, of the run by writer Phillip Kennedy Johnson and artist Nick Klein. But things have changed, and the premise, when we start this, let me see if I can get here, is an ancient evil known as the Eldest, who's sort of like a demigod of evil, essentially, has corrupted and taken over the Hulk's body and expelled Bruce Banner from it. So the Hulk, this weird scarred version, is flat out evil, okay? And we know how powerful the Hulk is. Well, like, they don't play around. Like, the army comes to potentially stop or at least confront Hulk. They don't know that this is a new Hulk. Look at this. Hulk does his clap move and just annihilates this guy's head. Brutal. Brutal. I think Nick Klein is a great artist. There have been a lot of fill-ins here and there on his run. Fortunately, I've liked the artists that they've used. Hopefully, for this Infernal Hulk, he's on it for a while. I love like this look at what the bullets from something like a 50 caliber machine gun is going to do to Hulk. Like, is Hulk's skin bullet resistant? Absolutely. Are you still going to get sort of impact wobbliness? Yes, because it's still like super dense skin. I just thought that looked really, really good. I like that was represented instead of like sort of little flashes. Like it's skin. It's not bouncing off of it like it would bounce off metal. It's not going to bleed, but it's going to make an impact. I thought that like a little decision like that goes a long way. But it's very dynamic art, no question. I mean, look at how like this decision to like have these panels like this, it really just flows so well. Of Hulk jumping up and grabbing a helicopter, it looks great. The establishing shot here, I've talked recently about how important at least one good establishing shot is per page. I think this is a really good establishing shot showing us, the military bearing down on this new Hulk that's emerged from the ground. It's pretty badass. This is Nick Klein. And Nick Klein's really, really good. Oh, hold on. I've got a super chat. Yo, Chris, a friend just showed me Get Jiro. Yeah, totally bonkers. A world where the only industry remaining is food and sushi chefs kill you for ordering incorrectly. Co-written by Anthony Bourdain. I hear an animated series is coming. I haven't heard that, but I actually do have an episode about Anthony Bourdain, and I talk about Get Jiro. It's a really cool comic. Anthony Bourdain, I read his autobiography. Really interesting guy. And his first dream was to be a comic book maker, not a world famous chef. So he did get to do comics, and I'm happy for him that he got to do that. There's definitely a bit of Corbin going on with how Nick Klein plays with light and dark a little bit. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat again, Larry. That's really nice of you. Anyway, this is just a really ruthless, scary Hulk. And I don't know who can easily go up against him. You know, I'm sure the Avengers will have to go up against him. But I hope that this run continues to emphasize monsters. That would be my preference is, you know, let's see some more Werewolf by Night and Man Thing and, you know, The Thing. Let's see monsters. Just his book, the biography, yeah, I would say it was a very engaging and interesting read. He talks about just how crazy a lot of people in the food industry are. It's full of people that are a bit transient and stuff like that. As you work your way up to, you know, the top restaurants, and it's really good. Yeah, he's talked about that. Anthony Bourdain talked about how he loved comics. He wanted to make comics first. But Get Jiro is a good comic. It's fun. And I think that works. I think that Hulk, as far as the superheroes in Marvel's Pantheon go, Hulk works very well as a horror character. Immortal Hulk, Infernal Hulk, these are good examples of how well Hulk can work as both. Yeah, it plays with a lot of the superhero mythology of the Marvel Universe, but he really is a character that has a lot in common with, say, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein's creature, things like that. So those were the influences for Hulk, and horror works quite well with Hulk. You can somehow bridge both superhero and horror with Hulk in a way that not every superhero can you do that with. Hellboy, but Hellboy is himself very different from Hulk. I don't know. It works quite well. Oh, man. If you want to read a really scary idea that was originally a Hulk story, read Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith. That is a very disturbing book. Yeah, apparently a bunch of previous versions of Hulk are going to be battling each other or this new sort of demon-powered version of Hulk to emerge. I don't know. I like it. I really hope Nick Klein is on these issues for as many as he can do, because he really is a great artist. I really like it. The pacing on this page of Hulk emerging for the first time and just that one hand emerging, kudos to the colorist as well, but boy, does it work really, really well. It's a great introduction to this version of the character. Great introduction. Is it an absolutely great comic? I don't know yet. You know, there's a bunch of lore to this. Maybe more lore than is necessary. But I think that they summarize it pretty damn well within like a little paragraph here. I really think that they do get to the heart of anything you need to know, and it is a very reasonable jumping on point where you'll get to catch up. If you didn't read the previous sort of run by these same creators, it's not a reboot or anything, but it is definitely a very new chapter. And it's an easy place to get in. So I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. And out of what Marvel is putting out right now, it's towards the top of my Marvel list. But my Marvel list is not as high as DC and Image these days. Though there's a lot more coming out from both Image and DC that I'm enjoying, and manga. And Marvel is towards the bottom, but they do have a few bangers. They do. The Ultimates, Ultimate X-Men, Infernal Hulk. Those are some of the stronger books that they've got coming out right now. Well, that's a mystery. To be decided. We don't know exactly the repercussions. This is the first time this version of Hulk has emerged. The last issue of the other Hulk series basically just ended with the eldest expelling Banner physically from Hulk's body and separating them. And we don't know how much of Banner or other Hulks might be in this Hulk or not. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. Fantastic Four, I do always call one of my top books of the month. I do like Fantastic Four a lot. Skinbreaker continues to be a very interesting book by both Kirkman and Finch. I had no idea before I talked to Robert on the main channel last month how long they had been working on this. But once you know that David Finch has been pecking away at this for many years, you can see the work on the page. You really can. The amount of detail is quite stunning. And yet, I wouldn't say any of it overwhelms the page. There's a lot of detail on this page, but composition-wise, it's clean. We see the foreground, middle ground, background. We see what we need to see. The focus reads left to right. An old, leader of this alien tribe bringing in a beast, meat for the village. We see everything we need in this 2-page splash. But the amount of detail is quite stunning. Quite stunning. And I think that Robert has created a very likable character here and has made him the underdog of sorts by putting him at the end of his life. We got to meet him when he was young. Now we're jumping to the end of his life. He's very old. He's starting to face challenges from people in his tribe that want to, do things the old-fashioned way and not use tools as much and use their hands and prove their power, this, that, and the other. But the leader knows that he can still give more to the tribe, that he's got more to give. And he's like, our way is if you get challenged, you fight to the death. If you win, you get to keep being the chief. If you lose, survival of the fittest. But he's like, but I probably would lose, he's thinking at this point. I probably would lose if somebody challenged me. But I feel like I still have more that I can teach people, and I don't want to die. And that's really interesting to me as somebody that's getting older too. I am getting older. I feel it physically. I feel it mentally. But I feel like I've still got so much that I want to share with the world. I want to write some of my own stories. I want to continue to share my opinions. I want to spend quality time with my family and my friends. But I feel that clock. And so I see a little of that in this character. And I'm impressed because Robert has always been good at comedy and he's always been good at plot. But I really do see some growth in him for creating characters that have wisdom and have life experience and are drawing on that. Could I still critique some of his dialogue as being maybe a little too stiff? I probably could, but I think that there's more subtext to his characters than there has been in the past. I really do. You know what? You're such a jerk. The next time I see you, I'm throwing you through a window. I'm 86. All right, somebody has to explain this to me because today I also saw a video where there were these Karens at a city council meeting saying that they were upset because kids were running around shouting 6-7. And now Beowulf is taunting me saying that the tribe's youth is running around yelling 6-7. I don't know what that means yet. What does it refer to? Somebody has to bring me up to speed. Nobody explained it to me. I want to know. I'll look it up later if I have to, but I would love it if one of you shared it with me. Anyway, so I appreciate that Robert has more subtext to his characters, in my opinion. And I don't think I've ever seen David Finch draw stuff that I like anywhere close to as much as what I'm seeing in Skinbreaker. This is my absolute favorite of his art. Please do. Oh, it means nothing? So, okay. Then that's actually extra funny. So they're just shouting it just to annoy adults that think it refers to something, and it doesn't. Not David Fincher, David Finch. I'm really blown away. I think that both of these guys are putting in a supreme effort, and it's got some good twists to it that I won't go into. If it has a really satisfying conclusion, I think that this is going to be very well remembered. And boy, I'm so impressed that Robert has not just relied on, Walking Dead and just do nothing but Walking Dead till the end of his days. He wrapped it up and he moves on with new ideas. I think he's creating an entire new generation of fans with his Energon universe stuff. And as soon as that cartoon comes out, that's going to get even more eyeballs on his comics. But to do something like this, Skinbreaker, like an 8-issue series, he's just, I love that he doesn't rest on his laurels. I love it. Okay, yeah, it's the new Skibbity. It's the new TP for my bunghole. Got it. 6-7 doesn't really mean anything. I kind of love that. That's an interesting question. Is it an homage to Chapel? I don't think so, but I guess I could understand a little bit how it is. I don't know. Is this supposed to be one of the Youngblood crossover covers? Maybe that is. That's an interesting question. Steve says, it has to do with a rapper that says he plays basketball as well as someone who was 6'7", and the song went viral on TikTok, and that's it. It's innocent. That's really helpful. Thank you very much. 6'7". The last one I'll probably do a little bit more of an in-depth review and thoughts on is going to be Absolute Wonder Woman issue 14. And then I'll just give some quick thoughts on the rest of things. So Kelly Thompson continues to write it. Guest artist, how do I pronounce this name? I'm really bad at names. You guys know that. I really like this art. Even though I love Hayden Sherman, this guest artist was rock solid. Let me just try to find the credits page. I wish that was a little easier to find these days, by the way. Sometimes they really bury the credits. Okay. Matthias Bergara. Sometimes I think a few of the colors are a little too dark and cover this up just a little much, but it looks beautiful. I look at this and I think of Frank Frazetta, to be honest. I think of something like that. This is a great opening splash page. Wonder Woman fighting what she eventually sort of decides is an opposite to her. An opposite where the world is trying to balance itself. Like, she has been doing a lot of good for the previous year's worth of issues, right? Well, this being comes in and just starts causing chaos. And Wonder Woman can physically sort of beat it back, but can't defeat it. Just cannot. And she has to really take some time to talk with her friends about the nature of it. And what I really liked about this was they came up with a theory that, yes, it is her opposite, which is trying to create a balance. However, is that really balanced? Because she's like, well, wait a minute. I didn't come into a perfectly balanced world and then try to make it better. Came in because the world has problems and I'm trying to make it better. So if you create an opposite for me, you're just bringing things back down to a bad world. And Wonder Woman argues this case, which I like that it was more of a philosophical argument case of words and logic and emotion, where she argues with Gaia, the spirit of the world, saying this is not balanced. You've been tricked. Appeals to the ego of the god. You've been tricked, creating this opposite to me. That isn't balance. I really like the arguments that were made in this as to, it makes it feel like a superhero would be necessary. The world is bad. I came into this world to make it better. I don't need an opposite. Yeah, I'm pretty close to agreeing with you. Hayden Sherman has done a lot of impressive stuff this year. A lot of impressive stuff. I really am looking forward to reading their work in Batman Dark Patterns, I think it is. I really want to read that. I haven't read it yet. But yeah, really good art. And the color in this is pretty fantastic. Adds a lot. There's a few times when it's like nighttime that I felt like it was a little too dark. It muddies the line art a little bit, but it's also appropriate. It's not overly rendered. Let's jump back to that credits page to see the colorist. Jordi Belair. Well, Jordi's one of the best in the business, so that's fair. But I like some of the stuff like when going to the heart of the earth, just sort of like these primal, like heartbeat type colors, like surrounded by vegetation and stuff, but kind of looks like a beating heart. But also like, you know, just like the central heat that's going to be down deep in the earth. I like that. I like a lot of the decisions that are made art-wise. I think that this is a pretty amazing panel where Wonder Woman convinces Gaia, the spirit of the earth, to take in, to get connected again. Look at the world as it is and decide for yourself, is it truly balanced? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, the very heart is, it's more implying that it's in a more of a supernatural underground realm than something literal. I really want to read that. I really want to read that. Wow, an all-time great. Okay. I've heard nothing but good things for Dark Patterns, to be clear. Nothing but good things. So, but I started hearing that after it was already coming out, so I made a decision that I'm going to wait and get it as a trade. It's one of those situations. But I do want to read it. Anyway, this is a great issue. Matthias Bergara, great fill-in artist. I liked a lot of the logic and care that was given to Wonder Woman and her supporting cast in this. It's a fantastic take on the character. And it looks like next month is going to be the first time the Absolute superheroes truly cross over with Absolute Wonder Woman meeting the Absolute version of Batman. That could be really interesting. The rest I'll just say, like, whether I recommend it or not. Super strong recommend to Escape, folks. This is definitely an analogy for specifically World War II. But what it does is it does show us that some of the people on the opposite side are not bad people. It's not, you can't make it as simple as, you know, oh, all the Germans were bad. This isn't Germany specifically. It's like, you know, a fantasy world. But it's people that are resisting in their own small ways, including helping this American-coded pilot that's on a mission to blow up a doomsday weapon. Some really interesting philosophical debates keep happening in each issue of Escape that I just wouldn't have expected. You know, the first issue was two different you know, allied pilots arguing the morality of dropping bombs on the opposing side, and that was interesting. Issues 2 and 3 have primarily been pretty fast-paced action of a guy trapped behind enemy lines, but also some flashbacks to what motivates him, which is definitely at the core family. And his love of his wife and his coming child, trying to make sure that the world is a quote unquote good place for those people that he cares about. I really like this main character. He's big and strong, and he's smart and clever. He's pretty ruthless, but he definitely has a really strong and relatable moral compass. A great blend of action and philosophy that does not get preachy or boring. Really like this book a lot. Farrell continues to be absolutely terrifying. In this, somebody that we thought was an ally, Lucky, the sort of stray cat, has taken over Pet City, but we realize that Lucky isn't that good of a person because every cat that he talks to, he's telling a different version of the story and motivating these people with lies. He's not being honest with anyone. It's pretty disturbing. He's definitely willing to keep things running in a very bad way. Pet City was sort of a cult of cannibals, and he's willing to sort of quietly let some of that continue without his allies knowing. It's disturbing. By the way, for some reason, My Kitties have never been printed in the back pages. Do I need to send that again? There's some gorgeous little fur balls in this. Oh, there's so many pretty kitties. I love cats, folks. That's probably also part of why Feral disturbs me, is I love cats, and seeing cats in danger in this world makes me feel sad and scared for them. What else came out this week? The latest issue of Marvel Knights The Punisher, set sort of in a near future where an older Punisher has been chemically zombified. You know, he's just a mindless soldier for a drug cartel. So Punisher sort of as a bad guy. Great art by Dan Panosian in this one. Really makes the ladies beautiful, makes the men look rugged. There was there were like some supporting characters in this, and I like that he makes supporting characters look distinct and not like beautiful and pretty. They look like real people. It's cool. And then this one was both hilarious and a little heartwarming. Trinity, daughter of Wonder Woman. Story-wise, we've got Trinity, the daughter of Wonder Woman, 3 different eras, toddler, young teen, older teen, all meeting to stop this time crisis. Basically, they just have to collect corgis through different times. And the middle, young teen one, has a crush on Jason Todd Robin right before he gets killed. And she goes back in time and meets him for a second time. Now, there's some hilarious jokes in this. For instance, she interrupts him while he's going up against Mad Hatter. And Mad Hatter is talking about how he can lay farts as dangerous as jokers because it's Christmas time and people were singing like Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg. And he's like, I can lay an egg as bad as anyone. And he I think he sharts himself canonically off panel. It's so cute and charming, their relationship, how they like each other, but Lizzie does know that Jason Todd is doomed to go through some really bad stuff like real soon. And they're from different eras. She also, even though she likes him, when he shouts that he's the boy wonder, she always cracks up at that. So it's both funny and it has a nice, cute romance going on between sort of doomed lovers, you could say. It's cute. Great artwork. Great artwork. Great artwork. Mad Hatter is too many syllables for the song. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And later, Scarecrow briefly shows up and brags about the power of his gas. So we know what they're doing. All right. What do I do for book of the week? I'm going to limit it initially. Oh boy, there's some really good ones. You know what I'm going to give it to? I'm going to give it to the final issue of the Batman versus Bane arc. I'm going to say that this is my pick for book of the week. It's the one that I found most satisfying. Is a good development of a character arc, a few unexpected twists, some nice emotion, some incredibly badass action. Really, really good. Not an easy week to pick. Any of these are recommends. You know, any of these that I'm going, in fact, do I not recommend anything? No, I recommend everything I read. I really do. Maybe that's not great for, how do you spend your dollar? Hopefully my thoughts, my brief thoughts on each of these, like one of them resonates with you more and you can help. Maybe that can help you with your dollar. I can't tell you buy this, don't buy that. It's hard. There are issues that I read sometimes where I'm like, nah, don't pick this up. If I had to drop one, maybe The Punisher. But I usually find some of Palmiotti's story twists and jokes pretty good, and the artwork in it by Dan Panosian is solid. So yeah, I'm going to keep picking up all of these for at least another issue, and I'll let you know if it drops off. So tell you what, we'll move on to drawing, and I've got a few more topics that I will talk about. Let me see, what was I going to talk about next? While I draw. Just been pecking away inking this Predator Badlands thing for fun. Oh, tell you what I'll do first. over on Comic Tropes, I've got a new video out. It's about Watchmen. I was nervous about making a video on Watchmen, folks, because it's been talked about so much. It's been analyzed so much that I'm like, is there anything I'm going to talk about that's truly new? Possibly not, I had to admit. At the end of the day, I go, possibly none of my opinions are new. All I can do is give you the context of my take on it. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. That said, there is a person who has had a really strange Watchmen theory up on, I guess, Reddit for a long time. I don't know exactly how long they've had it up there, but I don't agree with their theory. The theory essentially amounts to Larry Skexnader, who's the publicist for Watchmen and is married to Sally Jupiter. This person thinks that person is Hooded Justice, and that like Alan Moore has been tricking all of us for this. And I'm like, no, it just doesn't work to me for multiple reasons. But whatever. You're allowed to have your own headcanon. If it brings you pleasure, that's fine. But I did in my video say that I think that Hollis Mason is an unreliable narrator. But I also argue that almost everybody in Watchmen is an unreliable narrator. And you have to look at it like kind of like Rashomon, where you're piecing together different parts of the stories to find what the truth is. And I think that that's not new, but that was enough for this person to think that I was endorsing their theory that Hollis Mason is a liar. And it really got this person like talking a lot on various social media, like I think Reddit and Blue Sky a lot, and said that they had told me their theory and that we talked about it. And I was like, no, we hadn't. I don't know what you're talking about. But then they posted something from 3 months ago where I did respond to something that they posted about their theory on Blue Sky 3 months ago. I had forgotten, but they were right. And I admitted, I was like, I'm sorry. I did apparently talk to you, and I'm sorry. I had forgotten that. I don't remember which friend it was, but one of my friends sent me their theory at one point. And I didn't read everything about their theory, but I read like one or two of the like this long series of posts, and I did respond to it. So I feel a little bad that I was like, I didn't talk to you, but I was wrong. I did talk to them. But anyway, it's crazy. It's this person like is hardcore into their theory, but like, and that's fine, but like seems really into like needing to make everybody else agree with it, which I don't quite understand, because I don't really care too much if people ultimately disagree with me. But this person seems to care. Anyway, so that was just sort of an interesting bit of drama where they were like, anyway, it doesn't matter. I was proud of the video. I don't think I came up with that much that was new that hadn't been talked about before, but my central argument is to ultimately trust your eyes and trust what you see that Dave Gibbons is showing you, and use that to figure out the rest of what's true and what's not true in Watchmen. That's to a degree that, and also the sort of subtext or subplot, I'll call it, where I believe that Frank Miller is talking to us in a very big way throughout Watchmen of the danger of nostalgia. Yeah, so that was fun for me, though. I enjoyed talking about it. I know, I'm the worst. I'm the worst. Well, that was all I was ultimately trying to do. Is I was like, it has been looked at a lot, but I think that Watchmen deserves it. I think that there's a lot of thought and pre-planning that was put into it, a lot of layers to the characters, a lot of visual metaphor, and that it warrants quite a bit of analysis. It rewards you for reading it carefully and rereading. Yeah, so that's all. I couldn't believe that I hadn't made more episodes about Alan Moore, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do one about Alan Moore. At some point, I've got at least one more Alan Moore video in me, probably more than one, but I'm definitely going to, at some point, I don't know when, look at V for Vendetta, because I've said that Watchmen is the Alan Moore book. Sorry, all of a sudden I've got the sniffles. Watchmen is the Alan Moore book I've probably reread the most, but if you ask me what's my favorite, I think it's V for Vendetta. I think it is. I really like it. It's not as subtle. It's not subtle at all, really, but I like it a lot. Yeah. So that someday I'll talk about that. But I could also see myself talking about Alan Moore at some point in the context of Captain Britain, because I really want to do an episode about Alan Davis, an artist that I like quite a bit. And I'd probably look a lot at Captain Britain for that. Oh, sorry. All of a sudden, my nose is really running, and I don't know why. Komoda. The first and possibly only Alan Moore look I did was pretty early in my YouTube career, looking at Miracle Man. I know Dr. Manhattan saying nothing ever ends was his view of time, but it felt like Moore's commentary on serial comic books going on forever. I think to a degree it is. But it's also like, you know, he's telling Adrian, Ozymandias, like, okay, great. You say that you've stopped nuclear war, but like what? Like forever? Like that's an unreasonable goal. Like nothing ever ends. Great. You stopped it for now. Does that necessarily mean that there's going to be a better future? Who can say? There's too many variables. But that's also John, Dr. Manhattan, becoming more and more detached from humanity. He's not completely detached at all, but he's getting more and more detached. It's like you got to do the best you can with what's in front of you. We see comics the way Dr. Manhattan sees time. Every panel is still there after we've read the story. It's an interesting idea. Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, when you plan a story out, you should basically have the ending in mind, unless it's, you know, a serialized thing that you're just telling in little story arcs. But once you have that ending in mind, that does mean that you can retroactively go back and layer in meaning and subplots and metaphor that pay off. I definitely agree that if you're talking about Squadron Supreme, really good book, really good book. I think that that's what you're referring to, and I definitely agree that it's really strong. I think Watchmen is better, but I think Squadron Supreme is still very good. And you're right; it looks at a lot of the same ideas before Watchmen. What else? Oh, I wanted to talk about something that is possibly going to get me, you know, some people mad at me. But I was kind of mad this week. I was mad at a situation, not at a person per se, but two different comic book YouTubers did things that I just felt was too casual and didn't respect the artists that we rely on to get comics every week. So let me get into that. So I would say the two biggest active new channels in comics are probably Comics Explained and Variant Comics. Because sadly, you know, we lost Benny. And so Comic Historian exists as a big comic book channel. But in terms of, like, you know, creators who are still actively making new content there, I'm going to say that those two guys are way up there, okay? And each of them did something that I just felt was like a little irresponsible. I'm not saying that either of them are bad people, though. I do want to make that clear. And both of these could be innocent-ish mistakes. I just had a very different take than them on each. So the first one was Comics Explained, posted on Twitter endorsing Absolute Batman. Great. That's awesome. I obviously picked it as my book of the week. It's a good book. But in their post, the image had like this black thing down here that said like read comics on, and it had like a piracy site. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a piracy site. And I was like, you should have at least cropped that, even if you took it from there, because that feels like, I don't know, it just feels disrespectful to mention even like a piracy site. I understand, maybe using it or something to a degree. I don't know. Maybe it was intentional and it was a joke, or maybe it was unintentional. It was like a quick Google search, and I don't know if that one would come up, to be honest, now that I think of it. I don't know if it would come up as a Google search. But, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. But I just don't think that you should be showing that the image was from a piracy site while you're trying to convince people to read it. Because, if everyone did that, no one makes any money. I talked about page rates this week, didn't I? And it's bad for the field. It's bad for the field of comics if nobody's buying this stuff. So it just irritated me a little, I guess. Maybe your opinion is different. Maybe you're like, yeah, fine, whatever. Not everybody can afford it. I guess I get that, but I'm never going to endorse a piracy site. Okay, I'm just not. I want the creators to make as much money as they can, and sell to a lot of people. So I didn't like it. I didn't like it, is all I'm saying. Maybe it was an innocent mistake, though, so I'm not condemning the creator. I want to make that clear. I think that they should have been more careful. I don't know. Maybe I've done it before. I don't think so, though. I don't think I've ever grabbed an image and shared it to social media that ended up being from a piracy site. But I guess you don't know every time when you copy an image that you look in Google image search. Maybe you don't know where it's coming from. So I get it. And then the second one was, I don't know. I feel it just feels weird to me. Variant Comics on Threads, I think it was, posted a video of AI animating like the X-Men cartoon as like live action. And we're just like going like, this is, fire. This is awesome. This is badass, etc. And I was like, to me, it looked garbage. I feel like there's something so soulless and off about AI turning like, cartoons and photos into live action. It just doesn't click with my brain. Sometimes special effects in movies don't click with my brain either, to be fair. But like and I was just like, like that's what you're gonna rave about, like when it would just be just as easy, in my opinion, to find a great comic book piece of art and rave about that, or rave about the X-Men 97 cartoon or something along those lines. So I was just disappointed in both cases. I don't think that respects the creators when you share something like that. I think on social media, you are allowed to comment on it and have opinions. I was disappointed. I feel like if we don't support the artists and the stores, like, where do we end up? Like, what's the long-term result there? And maybe it's because of me. Like, I have a day job, right? So to get to the comic book store, to get these comics that I review every week, I have to, on Wednesdays, during my lunch break, like time it so that I know when the traffic is light, and I take my lunch break and I drive straight to the comic shop. I get in and out. There are some Wednesdays that I have off and I can take more time, but most weeks I do this during my lunch break. I get the comics. I don't have much time to really say anything to the store owner other than like, I appreciate it. And I zip right back to work. And that's how I buy physically. I'm not getting these. I'm not pirating them. Anything I'm reviewing, I physically have so that I can flip through and talk about it. So I'm putting a lot of time and effort. I'm giving up, my lunch break, and I skip lunch on those days. So, and then I see somebody sharing an image, and it's like from a piracy site. I'm disappointed is all. I'm disappointed. I'm like, let's put some effort into this, into promoting the stores and the artists. I don't know. I'm probably being too sensitive about it. I do understand. I probably am. But that's where I'm coming from. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm not perfect. I'm sure I mess up too. So, but I can't help it. Those irritated me. I'm like, you guys need to do more to endorse comics with your platform. You can help the industry a lot more than you are by just doing videos. You can also support it on a more one-on-one level. I hope I'm not making enemies by saying that. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to condemn anybody too bad. I was just irritated, but not mad. Mad is probably too strong. Irritated. I understand if someone legit can't afford to pay for everything. I do too. Especially these days. I make sure to pay for everything I read one way or another, or I use... That's the thing is, folks, like, I also have a library card, and you can read almost anything you can think of with... There's like 2 to 3 different library apps. I think Hoopla gives you an incredible amount of access to digital comics. And sometimes... For my videos, scanning all the pages is going to be way too hard. So I will get a digital copy on still Comixology sometimes. Don't love that interface, but I do. It's easy enough to get a digital version that I can like screen cap and then like edit into my videos. Or I'll use Hoopla and get like the digital version that way. So yeah, there are some different tools that I use for getting digital comics quite a bit. Yeah, Hoopla and Libby Slap. They're very easy to use. It's really cool. I'm aware of Internet Archive. I've only really gone there in rare occasions when I'm trying to look for an interview that's in something that like is very hard to find. And even then, like it's usually not going to be there even. But every once in a while, you're right. Like somebody scans something to Internet Archive, like a fanzine from like the 70s or something. And like, thank God, I'm like, oh, cool. I've got an image that I can use. But yeah, I think that's okay. I don't know what Canopy is. Canopy? I don't know what that one is. I don't know about that. To be honest, I've only, now that I think of it, looked for like magazines and books with like interviews, for instance, things like that. I don't think I've ever actually looked for comic books on the Internet Archive. So I don't know. There also anything Golden Age that's in the public domain, you can find on Comic Book Plus. Everything there is public domain. That's a fantastic, really fun site. And in fact, the next video I'm going to make is another crazy Golden Age superhero. I cannot wait to share it with you. And I found that on Comic Book Plus. So I'm really fun. I'm really looking forward to doing that. Let's see. In LA, Hoopla will be cutting the number of borrows you can have per month. Oh, I didn't know about that. Well, I hope it's still a reasonable number. Let's see. Anyone can upload anything to Internet Archives. There's plenty of copyrighted stuff on there. Nice to see you, Razor Ramen. Let's see. I'm currently reading V for Vendetta on the Internet Archive. I own it physically, too. Well, if you own it physically, I think you can always look at, like, another version. Yeah. Never heard of that one. No, it's fun. I think I found a really... every time I do a golden age book these days, I go, well, that's probably going to be the last crazy one I can find that I can like actually mine for, you know, an amusing episode, right? Like I'm not gonna find another one that's that, you know, weird. But then I find something. I also am trying not to do one. If I find one that I'm like really in love with, I'll take a quick look and say like, you know, has anybody else like talked about this? And it depends. If a few people have, then I go, it's been done too much. But sometimes if it's only been done once or twice or something, I go, okay, I might do my take on it. But anyway, this one I don't think I found anywhere else. I was really excited to find it. It excited me the same way as when I discovered number 711 and Dynamite Thor. Those are two of my favorites that I've reviewed in the past. Like as far as just wild, crazy, easy to talk about because they're so silly and bonkers. I'm really excited to talk about both of those. So yeah, for this month, I'm going to be doing an episode about a Golden Age hero. I'm going to do a Christmassy episode. And I'll have to do my top 10 of the year. Maybe that'll come out beginning of January. I don't know. Maybe I can do it. And then I have to figure out something to do as my exclusive for my Patreon supporters. I think it's better in terms of craziness than Dr. Hormone. I think it's crazier. But, you know, I'm biased. I'm right in the middle. Last month's exclusive for Patreon members, if you want to join, costs less than a single comic book. You can support me on Patreon. Less than a single comic book a month. And probably most of us read more than one comic a month. So if you're able to, you know, sort of budget for that, I appreciate it. But the one I did as an exclusive for last month was looking at the top 5 Predator comics by Dark Horse that I would recommend and who created them and what it has in common with the Predator Badlands movie. Since I'm drawing that, I'll just mention that. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. Yeah, probably. I mean, technically you can watch everything I do for free. It's like, it's completely voluntary if you're going to hit like, subscribe, watch an ad, or support me on Patreon. It's completely voluntary. So otherwise it's out there for free. I would say like 99% of my audience watch it for free. But fortunately that 1% is what keeps me going. And I appreciate it. Randy, since you're here, am I thinking right that do you have a Kickstarter that's already in like the sort of sign up to be alerted phase, or is that just coming soon? Because I know like Frostbitten is going to be a Kickstarter. I just couldn't remember if it had a page up or not. I was just thinking of that today. My buddy Randy has a really good horror comic one shot, and I couldn't remember if it was already up or not. I've taught my kids to never skip an ad in front of comic tropes. I guess, I've never even tried to use ad block, but you know what? I'll be honest. I pay for YouTube Premium. I love that thing. You don't watch ads, and a portion of what you pay each month goes to the videos that you watch. And then on top of that, like you can play your videos like in a small window while you're doing other things on like your phone or iPad. You can play music with your phone, like technically turned off. You can just stream music on YouTube instead of like, say, using Spotify. I think it's a great value. I really do. There's movies and TV shows that they have. It's nice. It's launching next week and you can follow the project. Who would I look up on Kickstarter for Frostbitten? Would I look up your name or would I look up Altruist Comics? What's it? Okay. A lot of people saying they enjoy. I think that, yeah. Oh, I think that after, what do you call it? Stranger Things. Once Stranger Things wraps up, I do like that show, just for the record. I like it. I like it a lot. Once that wraps up, I think I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription because I can't afford to have a bunch of streaming services anymore. But I'll keep YouTube and I'll probably keep Disney and HBO because now you can lump them together for a discounted price. So that's pretty good. So I think that that's all I'll have. Is that all you watch? Thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. A lot of it's individual pages, but yeah, you can always have like a pre-launch page to collect interest and so that you can notify people when it formally launches. It's really nice. Yeah, they only have it work when you pay for premium, I guess. I think. But to me it's worth it. I think the value I get out of the YouTube one is, yeah, I use it a lot. I definitely use it a lot. But, you know, I'm also a content creator, so I'm like terminally on YouTube. But I like YouTube a lot. I don't know. It's got problems. There's lots of things I don't like about it, but overall, I like what's on it, and I like what it offers to us. I like that it creates a smaller barrier to entry for people to make their own content. I like that idea a lot. But I'm also a guy who would watch public access a lot back in the day. Throughout the 90s and early 2000s, I'm somebody that always watched public access. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of some of the crazy shows that I've seen. If I could ever find public access sketch comedy shows, oh my God, would I watch those? Congrats. That's really cool. That sounds fun. Let's see. I watch comic tropes, Drawfee, and some history stuff. And that's pretty much it. I guess I watch a lot more than the average person then. I canceled all my streaming subscriptions this year except YouTube Premium. YouTube and comics are plenty of media to keep me entertained and busy. Yeah. No, I haven't seen Revival yet. I'd like to. I usually only have time, I found, to watch about one TV show at a time. And I think what I will do next for a show is I will watch, my friend gave me access for a little while to his Apple TV account. So I'm going to watch Pluribus when I get a chance. No kidding. Jamie Rich had a public access show. I didn't know that. Oh, a lot of you probably saw this, but if you didn't, I did another indie comics showcase on this channel on Thanksgiving. Chrissy's pretty sick these days, and we weren't really able to do a traditional like Thanksgiving or anything. So I pivoted and decided to use my day off talking about indie comics and trying to give people, you know, some pull quotes or publicity for their books. I just feel like that's sort of an obligation when you have a channel at a certain size. I can't do it a whole lot, but I try to do it as much as I can. And I had fun. I had a lot of fun. Went through some really interesting comics. There's a crime comic from The Jump that I'm excited to read, a new Death to Power, a lot of really interesting indie comics. And so if you didn't get to watch it, I think it was about 2 hours long. It's on this channel. It's just the latest indie comics showcase is what it's called. Like I went through the mailbag. Somewhere maybe close to about 30 different indie comics that came through. Chrissy's doing as good as she can do. She's really impressive to me because, you know, she's got a serious illness, long-term thing, but she's getting straight A's in her college classes that she's doing from home, and I'm really, really proud of her for that. She's incredible. I've seen some of Rome. I liked Rome. I didn't know that Bruno Heller created all those. Yeah. Any hints on what the Christmas episode will be? Something. If I say it, it'll give it away, unfortunately. So no, I can't really hint at it. But it'll be fun. Everyone has been telling me to check out Slow Horses, and I haven't been able to afford, you know, another streaming service, Apple. But now that my friend gave me access to his, I'm going to try, if I can carve out some time, to binge Slow Horses. Oh, Kev, thanks so much for sending it. Hold on, I'm really bad at names. Yours was Mind. What's the second word? Why am I forgetting it all of a sudden? Go ahead and plug it, Kev. I'm so sorry. I'm blanking because I'm bad at names. I love doing them. I wish I could do them more. It's really hard for me to do what I'm doing right now. I've cut out, like, on my personal life, like, I'm not playing video games. Like I say, I only watch about one show because you got to stay sane by giving yourself some free time here and there. But I've cut out, like, as much sort of, like, fun activities as I can so that I can just create more content. It's just that, you know, I've got to work. I've got to pay bills, so I've got no choice. I've got to do some of this stuff. Sorry, that's probably boring to hear. And you're like, yeah, I've got to pay bills too, Chris. I'm not trying to act like I've got it any tougher than anybody else. Just explaining I have very little free time. Very little. I'm having so much fun just doodling around on the inks on this stupid thing. What a silly, crazy face the Predator has. Whew. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've seen lately. Not really, though. No. Trying to think, are there any good movies that are coming out in December that I should try to, like, see? I can't think of anything right now. I'm sure there's at least one thing that I'd want to see, but I can't think of anything right now. Yeah, can't think of anything. Let's see. How many YouTube and Patreon subscribers would you need to be able to do this full time? I don't know, but I might be able to figure it out. That's an interesting question. I've never really thought that I could get to that point, but let me take a quick look to sort of estimate what I might need for something like that. How many do I have? Oh, geez. Oh, I'm putting in some filters on Patreon to sort of get a sense. Now I'm going to pull up my calculator. This is really good content, isn't it? Just thinking. Don't I have a calculator app? I think there's a there's a calculator app. Okay. So I would say if I had in the vicinity of 2,000 supporters on platforms like Patreon and YouTube, not subscribers, like actually like pledging somewhere between $1 to $5 a month, like somewhere in that range, somewhere around 2,000. And I've got closer to like 600 or so. So I probably need about 3 times what I've got right now to be able to do it full time. So, no, it's nice to see subs go up and it'll like help recommend things to new people, but views are probably a little more important. They're both factors, and it's not a completely easy algorithm to decipher. Carry the 2. Gain 5 more fingers to count on. Congratulations. Very cool. Yeah, so I would just say that, like, ballpark somewhere close to 2,000, so like about 3 times what I've got right now, which means I don't know, like if the percentages continue with how many supporters I have versus how many subscribers, I guess that means that I need somewhere a little closer to 1 million, close to that. You maybe more like 700,000 or 600,000, somewhere in that vicinity. Maybe you start being able to support yourself with it full time, I would guess, somewhere close to that. Some people can do it like less, but I think that they either have places where the cost of living is lower, or they have sort of side hustles that they've been able to establish in terms of, selling comics or things along like related to comics. My channel does have memberships, and I have some, which I appreciate, and I give them, access to the same stuff I give to Patreon. At the $2 and up level, you get access to one bonus video a month that I do for just those people. It's not edited as much, but it's still like me talking about something in comics. Maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. Well, that is sort of the thing is, I wouldn't say you have to. I would say that you become able to. So you're right. Like as you get bigger and you make more, you do have to invest more as well. There's no reason that you should be blocked. If you're subscribed, you should be able to become a member. I can't think of any reason why anybody would be blocked. Yeah, it's an interesting like career field. You do have to like reinvest. That's true. So yeah, I think somewhere like Ohayou gozaimasu. I believe it is morning time over there for Dave. He's just starting his day in Japan this weekend. Dave and Jim and Peach and a bunch of other folks are going to be at the Tokyo Comic-Con. However, before that, I'll go ahead and give my friend a plug. Dave is doing a live stream tomorrow evening on his channel with Sean from Japan Book Hunter, and they're gonna auction off or like bid, I guess, a bunch of cool Japanese manga and art and stuff like that Dave has been picking up over there. Dave, you get me anything G.I. Joe? I'm always looking for G.I. Joe. That's probably hard to find. Jimothy Lee will be there. So Jim Lee, there we go. Dave invested in all the Japanese Turok. Oh, excuse me, folks. If you were trying to be a member of this channel, I don't have memberships on this channel. I'm sorry for the confusion. I thought we were all talking about comic tropes, not Comic Tropes After Dark. I'm so sorry for the confusion. I wasn't thinking. It's super rare to come across it. There was only like, I think like one issue of it in a magazine. So that don't knock yourself out. It's super unlikely to come across. Yeah. Did you get me any cold hammered Hattori Hanzo steel katana? That's an easy one to bring back, right? I want the Evangelion hardcover book. Yeah. So if you want some cool, weird Japanese books, Japan Book Hunter and Dave should have you covered on the West Coast Dave Avengers channel tomorrow evening. I want to say 6 p.m. Pacific, but double check on his channel. I might be misremembering that. But yeah, I'm jealous, man. I hope you guys are having such a good time. Talk today about Jim Mafood being on Peach's new book, Psy, Dimensional Rivals. I'm happy for that. Looking forward to getting some coffee when you get back home. But I understand you're probably in no rush. You're in a really nice place. How much Picari sweat have you consumed over the last week? That's the real question. That is, I love Picari sweat. I pick it up at I've got a Wajimaya chain of grocery stores near me, and I'll occasionally get Picari sweat, even though it has a little bit of sugar in it, more than I should have. I like that drink. I like it quite a bit. Never coming home. All right. Well, as long as you can get me a room somewhere, I'll allow it. Yeah, I miss Japan, especially since Chrissy and I visit in January. Obviously, sort of fell apart, and so I feel like we are owed to each other such a trip, but that's not realistic. That we'll take any trips in the near future. Yeah, I might not travel at all in 2026. We'll see. Maybe things will change for the better somehow, somewhere. That would be lovely. Travel is like the only time I truly allow myself to relax and take a small bit of a break. So I love traveling. You guys like traveling? I do. How dare you stop a plane hijacker with your trusty blade? How can you stop all the snakes on a plane without a katana? So a lot of people think that Dave should definitely be taking a katana on the plane with him. I am not one of the ones endorsing that, Dave. I do not want to be blamed when you are inevitably arrested. Inevitably. Whether you get that katana or not, I think we're all convinced you will at some point be arrested. One of your hilarious pranks of running in and picking up like a restaurant table and throwing it on the ground and going like, YouTuber prank material. Travel causes too much anxiety. I can understand that. Travel a few hours up. Well, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could drive up to Vancouver and say hello to you. That would be nice. That would be nice. It's been too long since we've seen each other. I keep trying to super chat, but it says there was an error. I don't know. That could be something glitching on either your connection or YouTube itself. Thanks for the thought. I appreciate you. I guess I need to bring my katana. I was gonna leave it here, but the public opinion wins. Well, this has been a really fun live stream. I guess I'm coming up on almost 3 hours. That's more than enough time. Nobody needs quite that much of me talking about comics. But I thank you all for joining in and sharing your opinions on things. It was an interesting week to talk about. I'll tell you this: I'm not planning on visiting France anytime soon. They need to clean up their act. Come on, France. What is going on? What is going on? Am I going to get turned away at the border for being Antifa? I don't know. I worry. Thank you all. You've really made this quite a pleasurable show. I know I'm taking a long time, like inking this guy, but I'm having a good time with it. I'm having a lot of fun adding all the tiny little details and like making decisions slowly on this inking. I don't know if it'll come out good or bad or what. It's a weird one, but I'm having fun. Hey, this is nice as I wrap things up. Hello from your neighbor up here in Bellingham. We're about to have a long stretch of rain. Keep your head up. Well, I will pretty much be locked in both my editing room and the recording room tomorrow. Definitely got plans to do my Golden Age episode. Found a weird Golden Age comic, folks. And I'm so excited to do a goofy one. I hope that it connects with people, but I think that my Golden Age episodes don't tend to be the most viewed, but they're also never the least viewed. So they're fun for me, and it seems like the people that like them really like them. So when I can find something like that, I get excited. I think I found a crazy one that should give people a lot of fun. So anyway, that's nice of you to say. Sorry. Whoops. The drawing looks good. Thank you. I think it's weirder than Dr. Hormone in a different way, of course. Dr. Hormone was out there, but this is a pretty weird motivation for a superhero. A pretty cool costume, actually. So yeah, we've got some fun stuff coming up for sure. And yeah, hopefully you guys consider checking out some of the other YouTubers I mentioned. Bronze Age Nerd is just about to start his weekly live stream. West Coast Avenger is going to have a live claim sale tomorrow with some weird manga. And thank you all for, not just watching, but, sending in some of these amazing comics to the Indie Showcase. I hope you consider watching the Indie Showcase episode here. And once Jim gets back from Japan, we have some ideas for Trash Movie Bonanza. We have a couple good movies lined up. Thanks everybody. Keep reading comics. I'll say to Dave, Jeanne, and I'll say to the rest of you, I'll end the way I began.
Kohi o nomimashou. Kohi o nomimashou.
All right. Good night, folks. Peace and love.